podcast is live, so
Boomers trying to stream after Hangouts gets discontinued.
Are we talking to anyone? Is this live?
Oh yeah, I can see us.
I
can hear us. We are live.
We kind of just dumped all the Lego out on the table instead of actually sorting it first.
Yeah.
I got her.
No, it's been a while.
No, it's been 2 weeks.
No, it's been a while, and I mean you two have had a good reason for not turning up to do the shows. I do believe that you wanted to marathon the Fast and the Furious movies back to back with the Transformers movies.
No,
yes.
for 5 months straight. And you had no time to watch any other movies to do reviews, so I think it's a good excuse. Personally.
That's right, but that is also superseding those particular marathons. That is to be preceded by the very historically accurate and gripping movie Pearl Harbor, also by Michael Bay.
Yes, that is all the classics right there.
Yeah.
Those are all the best movies ever made.
I'm just waiting for a Transformers Fast and Furious crossover movie. Give it 10 years, and it will be there.
I just, the first. I'm very. I don't know if I'm happy or sad about this, but the first image that came to my mind is The Rock with a hydraulic penis. I don't know why. I don't know what that says about my subconscious or whatever, but there it is.
You're giving Michael Bay ideas. This is what's really upsetting.
Well, I think in 10 years we'll see it because, everything will be owned by Disney and they'll be out of ideas by then. So we will have you've heard it here first, Transformers Fast and Furious crossover. And it's perfect because you've got the Autobots, which are already cars.
Oh, you know what they need to do? They need to start making animated versions of their live action classics now.
Yes. The ironic thing about these movies, though, is the Transformers, the cars themselves are neither fast nor furious because they're so old in this Disney dystopian future. So,
wait, is it Mad Max meets Transformers?
No, but a year after the Transformers Fast and Furious crossover, there will be Transformers versus Fast and the Furious versus Freddy versus Jason versus Aliens versus Predator versus Smurfs.
Why
Gargoyle?
Of all the things,
Well, yeah, there'll be a Smurfs G.I. Joe crossover too. So
we can tell you haven't slept properly in a few weeks.
I haven't slept properly in 3 weeks.
Well,
so yeah,
admittedly, as an '80s child through and through, a Smurfs G.I. Joe crossover actually sounds kind of good. I hate to admit it, but yeah, actually,
G.I. Joe's trading the Smurfs.
Yeah,
training them for what exactly?
I don't know. Who would they fight?
Just,
aliens?
They have one enemy.
Freddy Krueger?
They have one enemy that I know of. He is trying to eat them, though, is he not?
Hollywood is out of ideas, so we'll just mash everything together. Put it all in a blender.
Gargamel versus Skeletor. That's perfect. He-Man. We got to have some He-Man in there.
That I would watch. Because anything with Skeletor in it is always perfection.
Well, this is true. I mean,
yeah.
And this is, I'm joking, but this has kind of already happened in that movie, Ready Player One.
Well, yeah.
Sort of, I guess.
I like how Ready Player One has just kind of become that movie. It's not a modern classic by Steven Spielberg or anything. Nobody it's like Spielberg just wants it to go away.
We all do, Steven.
Look, with a movie like that, I have to admire the skill and the time it's taken to do all the special effects because they are amazing. But they're just too overwhelming. It's just too much.
I haven't seen the movie, to be honest, so I can't really.
It's way too much.
Yeah, it's that little bit of
why we haven't seen it.
Well, I've been interested. I wouldn't mind seeing it just to see it, because parts of it certainly look pretty funny and fun. So, but overwhelming just based on the trailers is a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, it's like the Transformers movies. The special effects are great, right? I love the special effects. They look amazing. But just the fight scenes are just too much. There's too much going on. Just pull it back a bit. Sometimes less is more,
Never.
Hey, less is more. That's a great jumping off point for the first movie we should be talking about tonight.
Yes. The last.
Which one are we talking about?
I would say the last Will and Testament of Rosalind Leigh. It's the less.
It's the it's the leaner, meaner movie.
Well, I can give a review of the others really quickly.
Okay, quick, go. Rapid fire.
They're All Dead.
Oh, spoilers!
By the way, there will be spoilers. We forgot to mention.
Jumped the gun. Actually, you didn't even finish the intro. What do we keep you around for?
In case the title of this series and the channel hasn't given it away, there will be spoilers.
Yeah, but you just ruined everything already.
They're All Dead. Next.
That's a spoiler to every movie.
What's
the
movies for next time? Are we finishing up?
So how does this movie end? Oh, they're all dead.
She's dead. They are all dead, and she's dead.
That's it.
Let's move on.
Oh, I have a good.
Good night, folks. See you in 2 weeks.
We can watch one of these times. We can watch A Perfect Storm because that's the spoiler for that movie too.
Were they ghosts? Were they?
No, they just all die.
No, I know.
Oh, you've seen it, have you?
Yeah, based on a true story. How do you know? How do you know it's a true story if they all die?
They're all ghosts in the sequel.
You asshole.
But we don't know what happened.
They went off to a gay island to have orgies for the rest of their lives. That's what
the ship could have sunk in the first 5 minutes. We don't know.
It's really suspicious how that ship sunk. I mean, I don't buy it. They just let it sink. Come on.
Right up until the end there.
That's the one that hit the iceberg, isn't it?
Yeah.
The tiny fishing boat hit the iceberg. There was a big wave.
You would think with all the frozen fish they had on board, they'd have some experience with some fucking ice, but apparently not.
Oh, I missed you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so the last Will and Testament
of Rosalind Leigh.
It's a long title. You should at least finish it. That poor lady.
Oh.
What a saint.
I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's a movie for mainstream audiences just because I think it's too deep. It's too intellectual. There's not enough jump scares.
I pick snobby art films all the time. Come on.
And the jump scares that are there, which are maybe 2, are actually very good and genuinely shocking, in my opinion.
Less is more.
Yeah.
After having seen it, however many times I've seen it now, they still scare me. I know they're coming, and it doesn't help.
It's shocking, and this is the director. He's a Mexican American. His name is Rodrigo Godinho. He's well, I guess he's not the editor in chief anymore, but he's the founder of Rue Morgue magazine here in Canada.
Oh, okay.
And it's his first and only major film, and I say major in that, or full length, I guess I should say, his only full length film. From 2013. So it's very, very impressive for what it is.
It's a slow burn. Like I said, I don't think most mainstream horror fans would like it because it's too intellectual, and a little bit too deep, and
it's very slow.
Yeah, and it's more about the feelings of the guy and his dead mother, and I kind of feel sorry for the mother who has died.
Me too. In a way, I do, especially at the beginning. I have to say, I have goosebumps thinking about it right now. Her performance is amazing.
For a woman who never actually gets much for screen time, her voice is incredible.
It really is. She is voiced by the great Vanessa Redgrave. I'm not sure if you two know her.
Not personally.
Well, know of her, rather. I mean, I wish I knew her personally. That'd be awesome. Her most mainstream role would be from Mission Impossible, from '96, actually, the De Palma version of Mission Impossible.
It's interesting.
Yeah, she plays what's her face? The
what's her face?
That lady.
Integral.
Doctor, what's her face?
Oh,
is that the one?
Dr. Yeah, that's the one. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's a little embarrassing, but no, don't
worry. I'm terrible with names, so
yeah, I can't remember that. Basically, his overseer, basically Ethan Hunt's overseer. Like it's just her voice is just incredible, and she's just a wonderful older actress now. I mean, gosh, she's 82 or 83, but
should we give a brief synopsis?
They're all dead.
They're all dead.
Oh, sorry, that's the next one. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Oops. So basically, shit. See, I'm bad with names too. What's our main character's name?
His name is Leon.
Leon, that's correct. Leon
Leigh.
Leon Leigh.
Yep.
That's an unfortunate name.
Played by Aaron Poole, who also played our resident somewhat bumbling cop in The Void from a couple episodes back.
And he does a great job too, because he basically carries the whole movie because
he's basically the only actor in it. We see a few.
Apart from like 20 seconds of other people briefly appearing here and there, he's the only one on camera.
Yeah,
it's awesome. He does such a good job.
And I have to say that the entire script for this film is, when it comes right down to it, less than Bambi.
Really? Did you count?
Yeah, well, I can't remember where I found it now. I'll try to find a citation for this, but it's 881 words.
Wow, that's impressive.
Don't quote me on that until I find that citation, but I do remember seeing that and obsessing over that.
Because Bambi is impressive at 1,000 words for the entire film, so because it's much more to do with atmosphere than dialogue. We get little snippets here and there of.
Well, even just the opening. You're right, Bane. This movie isn't really one for mainstream audiences, and that sounds kind of snobby. But just think of the opening credit crawl with the fetus, and and the wonderful music. Like this is another film where the musical score is used very sparingly. So I'll bring that point up.
It's very quiet. Yeah, it's quiet a lot.
Yeah.
So we find out very, very early that Leon's mother has passed away, and he's gone to her house to essentially take care of end affairs type stuff. She's left everything to him, and he's an antique dealer, and it appears she has purchased everything he's ever sold, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that house isn't creepy at all. Doesn't make you want to go. Doesn't make you want to go live in a cabin in the woods at all.
The house
no.
Cool. It looks like a castle from the outside. It's very medieval on the inside. I would so live in that house.
It's so filled with stuff. There's just creepy stuff everywhere.
Creepy taxidermied animals. He's an antique dealer, so it makes sense. He's got.
I gotta say that most of the stuff is awesome, and a few of them are. Some of the pieces are really beautiful, but the way she has it set up is a museum is an understatement.
The peacock, the white taxidermied peacock at the top of the stairs. It's beautiful. I would just want to walk around in there, look at everything.
The thing is, each individual piece by itself is fine, right? Or even a couple of pieces, but the fact that the whole house is just filled with all that stuff. It's like stuff everywhere. It's
eccentric to say the least.
Yeah, it adds a creepiness to the house because
it's very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
it gives you the feeling like things are watching you all the time, because it's all.
But there are things, because there's statues and stuffed
Yeah,
animals.
there's eyes, taxidermy, dead shit everywhere.
Various paintings. There are eyes on you anywhere you go in that house. There's at least a few pairs of eyes watching you at all times.
And some of the statues even blink, as we find out.
Mm-hmm. But is it real?
Is this just real life?
So Leon comes home and sorry, Bane. Go on.
No, go on.
Okay, Leon comes home and he explores the house. The opening shots are just these amazing, smooth transition camera pans throughout the entire house. Just basically showing us this creepy museum. The audience, we don't yet know that her or his mother has actually purchased all of these, but we find out very, very shortly. Anyway, Leon comes home and discovers this and sits down to dinner after putting his toiletries away in the bathroom. And he's a very meticulous man.
Yes, everything's prim and proper and in its place.
Yeah, he cares about his appearance very much. Not necessarily in a shallow way, but he is who he is, and he kind of seems like a robust guy to me. You know, like he's probably a single dude in his early 40s. He just, he's very well off in life. And it's all of that is kind of it's relevant for what happens to him a little bit later, in my opinion, anyway. But just as he sits down to dinner, he sees, or we, the audience, see a. Is it crocheted, Anon? Or
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, it's an old kind of superstitious saying. I've actually seen it before. It's a real thing, not just created for this film. It says, if you drop a knife on the floor, a man will come to visit. If a spoon, a woman will come. If a fork, it will be neither man nor woman.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah. And the camera just zooms in on that for a moment, and he's making dinner. It looks like some udon noodles and a couple other things.
So what happens if you drop a fork?
Neither man nor woman comes.
There's a fork, between a spoon and a fork.
Well, yeah, you get a spork. A spork will come. And
knock on the door.
And roll credits. Anyway, as soon as
a sentient spork. It was the spork all along. So
he sits down to dinner, and right out of nowhere, a spork knocks on the door, and he drops the fork. So we assume it's a spork, but he drops the fork on the floor as you would expect.
Yeah, somebody knocks on the door. This is one of those jump scares that's organic, and it just because the atmosphere of this movie feels very tense, and we haven't been given any real reason why.
It is tense. It's actually and it's raining outside at this point. It's a torrential downpour outside, and the musical score is so subdued. I don't think there is any music at this point.
Silent, pretty much. We just hear atmosphere.
Yeah, well, I think it is a slow movie, and I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm not saying boring. But
I think slow is good. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and the thing with the house,
deliberate
stuff, and the guy walking around the house, you constantly have the expectation that something could happen any second, and that's what makes it so.
It's tense.
Yeah, tense.
The atmosphere is palpable. You can feel it.
Yeah, it's not throwing something at you every 30 seconds, so you constantly got that expectation that something could happen at any moment. And
enough happens that it's not boring.
Yeah, yep.
I don't find the film ever boring, to be honest.
They nailed the pace. It's flawless. I wouldn't change a thing. I don't feel it lulls at all at any point.
So this guy at the door, though, he's a little bit creepy. A little.
Isn't there two of them?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it alludes to that later in the film.
I'm fairly sure that the first knock on the door is a pair of them.
Well, we only hear one voice, though, don't we? And we don't see any.
Well, you know what? That's kind of the mysticism of it, Bane. I think it's you remember those particular two that she might be talking about that show up later on in the film, right?
Yeah,
especially if it seems like there's some. Me neither, but he's
been in everything basically.
Basically, yeah. Here, let me see if I can find it. But Julian M. Richings, yeah. The oh my goodness, I'm just thinking about the. I don't want to. Well, I guess
I don't want to get ahead of yourself.
No.
So basically, this person knocks on the door. He drops his fork in a bit of a panic because it startles him a little bit. It's been very quiet.
Yeah.
And he opens the door, which is very, very cool. It's two sets of doors. So it actually has a proper indoor foyer.
Yeah, like
very cool.
I guess Canadians might know it as a mud room, I guess, but small, just inside. Yeah.
And this guy essentially just starts talking to him a little bit about his mother and telling him that the house is very special to them and that it's a holy place. Which, I mean, of course, Leon's a little disturbed. Like, it's the middle of the night. Why are you knocking on the door?
He is visibly annoyed when somebody knocks. When it startles him, he is pissed off. He picks up his fork, he wipes it off, and essentially slams it down in his own way on his dinner plate because he seems like a very particular guy. He's very upset.
Just sat
down for my dinner.
So upset.
Yeah, he's not pleased. But the conversation between the two or three people, Leon and this other gentleman or gentlemen, it disturbs him a little bit because immediately after he needs to call his therapist.
No, that's after the basement.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Oh, see, I'm totally unprepared for this.
They're all dead.
This is why we have you here.
Yes, this is what I'm here for.
I will buckle down on. I am 90% sure that it's immediately after he closes the door.
I don't think so.
But anyway, the person at the door says something about an animal in the yard. That's important.
There's been an animal came down from the mountains, has been terrorizing people. Be careful, essentially. And it's not long after that we see through windows shadows in the yard, which does not look like an animal. How would we describe this thing? It's sort of like a furry Slender Man, I suppose.
Well, it's certainly humanoid.
Furry Slender Man.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to describe it. Because it's humanoid, but it's long. Everything's long. Its torso's long, its limbs are long, and it's a little bit hairy.
Yes.
So you could think maybe it's an anorexic bear if you took a lot of drugs, maybe.
When you say furry Slender Man, I'm thinking furries as in,
Of course you are.
Because that's a funny image.
I think you watched the wrong version of this movie.
Sorry to interrupt your fairy conversation, but it's after he goes up to look at the locked door upstairs, and he has to phone his therapist.
Yeah. So
once again, someone we don't see, we just hear a voice.
Yeah.
And throughout this, we get little random snippets of narration from Rosalind, sort of
from the grave,
from beyond the grave.
Well, yeah, that's what we're led to believe. Yeah, and yes.
And essentially, she's speaking directly to Leon, and we hear her reminiscing about him as a child, and talking about how she was so upset that he left when he was so young and never came back and stopped calling, and
sorry, go on.
Typical things you would think a recluse old lady would say to a son who cut them off for whatever reason. We don't really know the reasons quite yet.
Oh, we do know the reason.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. He rejected her faith and
she joined a religious cult and he got out basically.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him. But at the same time, I kind of feel sorry for her because she was all alone at the end.
Well, the religious cult, we do find out at some point, is the reason his father is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some of the things she did to him as a child, I mean, I don't feel bad for her really at all.
Yeah, personally, I like, and my empathy, I feel bad for her on a base kind of human level. But when it comes right down to it, I find it difficult to feel that bad for her. Clearly,
a relationship with her came with expectations, the real requirements to buy into this cult.
Yeah, like I said, I don't blame him for leaving, but at the same time, I can empathize for someone in her position.
Sure. I see where you're coming from, and I agree. I feel the same way, but not to a very high degree. It's such a she seems a bit of a monster in my eyes, at least in his youth, like more than a bit.
And technically, she didn't die alone. She was surrounded by her cultists pretty much all the time. She just
that's okay then.
Yeah. She was just a little bit.
It's a good replacement for her son, I guess.
Well, I mean, she couldn't brainwash him into her cult, so I don't know. I have a hard time feeling bad.
A little bit, yeah.
Because I'm biased. So where are we now? The creepy cultists have left and warned him about an animal in the yard, and we start hearing and seeing little snippets of this thing outside.
He just finished a conversation he's having a panic attack or something. We never really learn what he suffers from. Some kind of PTSD. He's just gotten off the phone with his this is important, with his therapist, and he's having a smoke on the couch, calming down, and he looks at this statue of an angel.
He hasn't found that yet. That's all in the
basement.
He
has. It's on the couch. No, it's right now.
Well, he brings it up from the basement.
Well, yeah, but that's before all of that.
We haven't even talked about the basement yet.
I'm watching it right now. It's happened.
Yeah, no, but we haven't.
It was just. Yet. I know, but the basement hasn't happened yet. It's just after these fellows knock on the door.
Oh, so it happens in the other roof. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's having a smoke on the couch, and he burns the angel's eyes out with his cigarette butt. And this is one of the only swells of music in the entire film, because we, the audience, is supposed to go.
Yeah. Well,
so he finally gets pissed off enough about this locked door in the attic, or upstairs rather, and we see a camera pan that sees there are two giant screws holding the door closed. Just at either side of the door frame. So he's trying to open the door, and none of the keys work. So he's a little bit confused.
Yeah.
And then the plot moves on.
Is this where he goes down into the basement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the power goes out.
Yeah.
And he has to go down there to turn the power back on, and he gets down there and it goes back on its own, because why wouldn't it?
As it would.
And of course, when you're in your deceased mother's house, what do? You start going through boxes looking for childhood stuff. I think we all would do that.
Yeah.
He's reminiscing and having an okay
Here's the
time.
Kool-Aid she made me drink. Here's a picture of her making me drink the Kool-Aid.
You know a lot about Kool-Aid.
I keep telling people not to drink it, but they don't listen.
You make it look fun.
Well, yeah, you make it look fun. This movie makes it look like less of a oh yeah and more of a oh yeah shit. That
more of an oh no.
Oh no. No.
So this is where he finds the box with the angel bust in it, and we get we get a flashback sort of explaining what this angel is, and it's supposedly his guardian angel. Now she has angels all over the house,
but this one in particular, he was pissed off enough to burn out its eyes.
Yes, because she used it essentially to torture him, which is something he talks about with his therapist. It's a little game where she puts some candles in front of the angel and says, you know, if they all go out and you don't do what you're told, she's going to turn her back on you, and then you'll be all alone, and the darkness is going to come and get you. You know, typical religious-y, brainwashy,
typical pseudo-Catholic cultish babble. Yes.
You say that like fucking with a child's mind is a bad thing.
No, it's okay if you're just talking about hell and not cultish type shit. It's totally different then. Oh, that amount of sarcasm was painful, actually.
Oh,
it hurt.
That just kind of dropped like a pin in the forest there, didn't it?
Yeah. So this is when I remember him freaking out, but you're saying it already happened.
Yes.
So yeah, the movie's a little disjointed, which is part of what makes it interesting to watch. Things sort of happen on top of each other, backwards, and all over the place because.
Well, they do, and there are flashbacks galore all the time.
So many flashbacks to his child. You're supposed to be questioning whether or not he's experiencing this or not, because you don't know if he's losing his mind because it's traumatic, or if she was right the whole time and there's actually demons out to get him.
Maybe both.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Both. So I think this is when the animal out in the yard makes its major appearance.
I think so.
And is it the security camera bit?
Yes, I believe so.
I quite like that scene.
Yeah, me too. It's very well done. Really good. So he has a confrontation with the animal out in the yard, which is really stressful because we catch some glimpses of it, and it certainly, again, does not look like an animal. It's very humanoid. It sort of looks like you know what? It looks like that guy from Two Pigeons, painted all black.
Yeah.
A little bit furry, running around on all fours. Very long in the arms, long in the legs, long, skinny. It's pretty terrifying, actually.
A little bit, yeah. Oh, something that happens before that the basement actually happens just before that, and he finds that tape. Do you remember the tape?
Yes, the tape, which
that happens
he doesn't
before
watch right away.
Oh, with the preacher guy.
Yeah, no, it's important because he falls asleep on the couch. This is before the monster in the yard. This is when he has his flashback into the what I call the breakfast room.
Yes. Yes.
Because that breakfast looks delicious.
It does. Is this the communicating with the dead tape too?
I think so. Yeah. And it instructs him to kind of fall into himself and re-experience his I guess happiest memory.
Yeah, but it doesn't become that. It turns into that angel game.
Well, it does, but at first it becomes that, and he falls asleep on the couch, and we see him wake up on the floor of the kitchen, or breakfast room, as I like to call it, and he gets up and he looks at his plate of breakfast and smiles real big.
Yeah, like a little kid.
And he just kind of has a look around, and it's a nice bright room, which is a huge difference from the most of the film we've seen up to it, because there's sunlight pouring in. It's just
nice. It's just a nice Sunday morning breakfast.
Yeah, it looks very, very nice.
It's all sunny and cheerful, and then not so much out.
And I can't remember what the narrator's voice says on this tape, but it's basically fall into yourself and remember your basically your fondest memory, and then it becomes perverted with. As soon as he looks upstairs, it becomes perverted with
dark and that
dark.
The angel thing.
Yeah. So I can't remember if that's where we see the game for the first time, but
it could be.
There was a note I remember him seeing or writing, or Rosalind. That's right. You remember the note with the I think it was pen or like a pencil crayon or something. Do you miss me as much as I miss you? Do you remember that note?
Yeah.
And it's unclear whether he wrote it or not because he has a crayon or pencil in his hand.
Yeah.
This is his first encounter with the creature, as we learn.
Yeah.
There's another woven picture on the wall. And this one says, "Faith is fragile."
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second jump scare of the film, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
After this, do you remember this, Bane?
Refresh my memory.
Okay, so he's in this dreamscape. Do you remember the really bright light dreamscape where the breakfast is on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of walks upstairs, and he sees this note on the desk right by the window that says, "Do you miss me as much as I miss you?" And then he turns around because he hears this kind of growling, like a mewling, and he sees this embroidered framed cloth on the wall that says "Faith is fragile." 2 pairs of yellow eyes, or 1 pair of yellow eyes.
Yes.
And then
yeah. And the hand reaches up.
The hand reaches up, and it's a human arm. Yeah. It looks like an old lady's arm, in fact, and just points at this.
Terrifies me every time.
I have goosebumps thinking about it.
Yep.
It is, and it looks like it's his mother's hand. It looks like an old lady's arm, and it just says "Faith." And she points at it, or it points at it at this embroidered cloth that says "Faith is fragile," and then. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Piano notes, so loud.
Yes.
All of a sudden, it's really jarring because the film's so quiet. All of a sudden.
Yeah, a brilliant jump scare. That's the way that you would do a jump scare. This should be
when you've been waiting for 45 minutes for something, and then it gives that to you.
And then he wakes up on the couch, and the candle's out, and this angel still has its eyes burnt out, and he picks it up. This is what I remember. It's my whole favorite scene of the movie. And he just looks at it and kind of with disdain. And on the bottom of it says, I can't remember what it says. It was a gift from his mother, though. It says to Leon or something, or happy birthday or something. It was for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when we see the eye move on it. For the first time.
Nothing creepy about that.
No, nothing at all. And he opens it up.
He burns the eyes out.
Well, he did that before, and he opens it up. This is when he opens it up and finds the key for the attic door.
When he looked at the tape, didn't the eyes move on the big statue?
That comes later.
That's a bit later. Okay,
Did we skip over him getting the security tapes? We did.
Nope, we didn't. Nope.
It hasn't happened yet.
Nope, hasn't happened yet.
It's everything's so it's all jumbled together.
This is what I remember with great detail. After this, it becomes, and I've seen this movie probably a dozen times, which is a lot, but not an obsessive amount. So
not as many times as Transformers 4.
Oh man, I've seen that movie so many times. That was an awesome one. When Optimus Prime did the thing with that one robot,
one of the best scripts ever. And Fast and the Furious #3, I think that was the one with the really good script. That was the one where it said car goes fast.
Is that the one with that really big explosion?
Yeah, and it says big explosion, car goes fast. The end.
Oh, and it's so fucking original because I was watching it in the trailer. I got so excited because it was the first and only trailer I saw that went at the end of it, and I was so excited when I saw that Miramax logo. I was so excited. Anyway, we should probably move on.
So have we got to the security tape bit yet?
No, not yet.
One of my favorite bits.
We're getting there. He's looking at right now. Well, I say right now. Then I think he finds his mother's diary.
Yeah, no, it was her will.
Her will.
Yeah, it's her will.
All I remember from that really is I am all alone now or something.
Yeah.
He just looks at that, and then there's a picture of her, like. This is where it's
friends up in her room, and he's sitting on the side of the bed, and he picks up the will, and then we get her narration again. And at this point we realize that all of the narration up until this point is all coming from this will that he's been reading. So
it is.
Which is a big shock considering the name.
Yeah.
Totally shocking.
There's a will in a movie about her will. Shit.
I know. I was surprised.
Shock and horror.
Never saw that coming.
Spoilers.
And they're all dead, by the way.
Yeah, everybody's dead.
Well, yeah.
So the creature in the front yard. I want to get to that bit because it's one of my favorite bits.
I think it might be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, it definitely is, because he goes back downstairs after reading the will for a little while. Does he go to sleep first for a little bit and then have the interaction with? I think that's how it goes. So he goes upstairs, gets ready for bed, and he goes to sleep for a little while, and he's woken up to. Oh, no, wait, no, I'm definitely getting ahead of myself now. God damn it, this movie is so fucks with your timeline because it all happens in non-succession. That's all right, just give us the broad strokes. So I'm pretty sure he has the encounter with the thing in the yard at this point, which we still think is possibly an animal. And he goes out into the garden, and there's this big pond, and he starts shouting, as you would at a possibly rabid animal. I have no idea. Would you do that? Go out and start shouting?
Probably not.
I think
not if it's human size,
Yeah, I think that's a really quick way to get mauled by something with rabies.
Yeah, if it's human size and someone's told me it's come down from the mountains, you're probably not going to go out and yell at it.
Maybe not a good idea.
Yeah.
So he's out shouting away, and all of a sudden this thing comes out, and obviously he's freaked out because it's massive, and he books it to
weird looking.
And yes, and weird looking. It's long. It's like a long humanoid person with a cat's head. It's really strange. It's hard to describe because you don't get to really look at it. So
once
again,
less is more. So know,
it's gargoyle-esque. But
sorry, I had to step out for a moment.
We're in the yard now.
Okay, well, he watches the tape before the yard.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I know, right?
Let me finish this bit. We'll go back.
Go ahead.
It's all disjointed anyway. He runs back into the house and slams the door, and this thing smashes on the windows, smashes on the door, all that kind of fun stuff. Very scary. And
trying rather hard to get in.
It is. And once he's kind of calmed down and got his composure, he notices that his mother has security cameras in the house. So he calls the security company and asks to see the footage from the yard when he was being accosted by this, what he thinks is an animal. And so the security guy on the phone is really weird.
He
sounds like a text-to-speech program.
Yeah, he's really weird. But
Very robotic.
There's no human mannerisms to him.
It's a little bit more organic than a speech to text, but barely. Like it's just it's barely human.
You can tell it's not text-to-speech, but it does sound a lot like it.
Yeah, it's really
very monotone.
It's very creepy. He's got no emotion. He does not emote much.
No.
And when he watches the footage back, this is when we get to actually see sort of what the creature looks like. And he's on the phone, and he's like, "What the hell is that? What is that?" and the guy on the phone goes, "Well, it appears to be some kind of animal, sir." Yeah. He's like, "What kind of animal is that? Look at it." And I'm with him. It's way too humanoid, even blurry with the bad quality that the camera is.
It's very lanky.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, and it is very creepy. We should stress that to anyone who hasn't seen it, that it is extremely creepy.
really creepy. It's really long. That's the only way I could describe it. It's
long appendages.
Yeah. Long arms, long body, long everything with a weird head.
Weird, kind of smallish head with pointy ears and yellow eyes, and it's hard to describe without it sounding silly, but it's creepy. It is a very creepy creature.
Yeah, and you don't see it a lot. That's what makes it so. That's what makes it effective. You don't see it much.
Mm-hmm.
He's discovered a new species. That's great.
He needs to go outside and try to pet it. Come here. That'll work, right? I think so. I think demons will respond to that.
Yeah, just put it in a cage. You'll be fine.
So at this point, as the audience, we're pretty convinced that this thing is a demon of some kind. Mm-hmm. It's not. What
gave you that idea? The yellow glowing eyes, or?
Hey, cats have yellow glowing eyes, but they're also not long.
Wow.
They look like hunched over people. So now we can mosey on to the video that he watches, which he watches just before this. I done fucked up.
No big deal.
It's a little hard to keep this movie in cohesiveness because it's so all over the place.
Is this the video with the moving eyes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he discovers this tape. His mom's. What's the label on the tape say?
Oh gosh, I can't quite remember.
Debbie does.
Debbie
does Leon's house.
Debbie does grandma.
Yeah.
I think it's something like, I think it's just a date or Sunday sermon or something. It's nothing like, you'd probably just ignore it for most people.
Probably.
But he is obviously, I mean, he's in his deceased mom's house. He's curious about stuff. So he pops it and he starts watching, and now it's just a fucking sermon. And they're having a rather intense.
Well, he watches the tape first, and then something happens. Then he sees the eye blink, and then he takes the tape out.
Yeah,
I believe.
Well, yeah,
when the eye opens.
He watches it back a few times to make sure he sees what he sees, because they're worshiping. They clearly have an obsession with angels, and they worship angels directly. And this angel that they're worshiping, they ask it to gaze. Life-size. Yes, a life-size statue. And they ask it to gaze upon them, doing, sermon-y type stuff, hands up in the air, crying, all that crap. And all of a sudden, the angel's eyes open, and it's really jarring.
It's jarring.
Him and to us, and
to the audience, it's jarring. It's one of those things where you would think it would be cheesy, but in this film, it is not.
It's not, because everything's so slow, and so when things do happen, it's really jarring.
Yeah. God's messengers, I think the tape says, or something.
Yes, something like that. It's something
God save us or something. Yeah, just.
Yeah, it's something you would ignore if you're a non-believer. Like,
the front of the tape. Sorry, this is what I remember. It says "believe." I remember that in all caps. That's the important part.
And he's a non-believer. That's also really important.
Well, that's what, and we've we know this as the audience at this point, because his mother is very upset about that.
Yeah.
That he doesn't believe anymore. Yeah. He's lost his faith. And this is when he starts to look up on the Google machine, the interwebs, the truth about all of this. And this is where he comes across the creepy twins for the first time, talking about the cult.
This is how he sort of figures out more about his father's death too.
Yeah, he sees newspaper clippings online, something about a suicide, I think. Cult members' suicide. It's never really explained fully, but
they were absolved of any guilt,
any wrongdoing.
There was an investigation about cultist suicides, and so basically that's part of the reason why he stopped talking to his mother, is because he blames her and her cult for his father dying.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and she brings that up in the will, and we get You know, a little.
Oh, are you breaking up, or is that just me?
I think it's just you. You've been doing that a little bit here and there.
Oh, have I? That's strange.
Only a little bit, though.
I thought it was just your beard eating your microphone. It does that. Anyways.
Oh, you're roboting.
Am I?
Yeah, oh, it's okay now.
Are you okay?
Oh, you're doing it again. That's strange.
Oh, no.
Is it both of us or just me?
Is it me too, Bane?
Both of you, yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably. I think it's on your end because you sound fine to me. Both
yeah,
of you
we can hear you fine. I can hear Miss Anon just fine. So
technical difficulties, folks. Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Australian internet sucks.
I can be a
my internet's super fast now. I've had an upgrade since last we did this, so it shouldn't be slow. I haven't got anything else downloading or anything like that. So that's weird.
Shouldn't be. I can be really cringy right now, and just there are technical difficulties on the Enterprise right now. And Ensign aisle 1, clean up. Come on.
American Phoenix can hear all three of us fine, so it's just something wrapping around on your end.
Oh, my bullying tactic worked.
It did. I saw that you went on Twitter.
I was bullying him, and now I'm completely fucking ignoring him. Apparently. Oh, there's the chat. Okay. There you are. You're usually here. I was wondering where the hell you are. So
you hurt Master Anon's feelings.
Yeah, you're usually here chatting away. You're at least our one viewer.
You're our only viewer. We missed you. So where were we? He's watching the tape. The angel opens its eyes on the good cultists, and then he pulls the tape out and destroys it.
Yeah.
As you would as a non-believer who just saw evidence that maybe you should believe some things.
Yeah, and it's some pretty intense evidence. He takes the tape out and then puts it in again, and it does the same thing, and he pauses it and then takes it out and does his thing. And this is when he looks up the information on his father's death, and he sees the twins. He takes one of his pills, which is also relevant, I think, because I mean he's got some form of PTSD or something like it.
He's obviously got issues from his childhood. Of fun.
He seems well adjusted. Other than that, like he's pretty stand-up guy.
He's got his therapist. He takes his meds. He's all right.
Yeah, and his therapist is great. She's very understanding. And this is when the yard happens. This is when he chases the creature through the yard and yells at it and goes, "Hey, who are you? Come out."
Yeah. Yes, I did it all backwards. I'm so sorry, but
you know what? It's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter when it comes right down to it, because logically, when you think about it, this could have happened first, and then he could have locked himself in his house and tried to calm down in the living room and found the tape and.
Yep. And this is when he goes to bed. I believe this is when he decides, all right, fucked up animal in the yard, trying to get in the house, had enough time for bed.
Well, yeah, he calls his therapist again after all this, after it tries to get in. Rather, this is the security guard. Yeah.
Yeah, so we go through all of that, and then once he sees that thing and goes, "What the hell is that? That's not an animal. What kind of animal is that?"
Yeah.
And then the phone cuts out, and I think he's just.
Well, he goes up to the attic and sees, he goes into the previously locked door and sees a hand come from around the corner.
Yeah.
And grip the wall, and he closes the door, locks it, runs to his bedroom, and then he looks down, I remember this distinctly, into the yard and sees two twins in pilgrim garb, wearing, the pilgrim hats and the black robes, walking towards the front door.
Yeah.
So he runs downstairs. Music is blaring at this point. The musical score is brilliant. It just picks up. And he sees that the door is locked. Everything's good. And then he calls his therapist and then goes to bed.
Yeah.
He's had enough for the evening.
Now the bed scene is one of my favorites. because
Yeah.
it's so creepy.
Is this with the licking?
Yes.
The licking. Yes.
The licking. So, and he's already seen the hand of this creature inside the house. So we're led to believe that this is some kind of demon who has made its way inside the house and is
Can
now.
I just say, if you see like a hand of the demon coming around the corner in your house, it's probably time to leave.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey,
Go
sorry.
get your car,
I got to mention this before I forget. Nosferatu. That's what it looks like. Kind of like Nosferatu, like that, Klaus Kinski's Nosferatu, that strange vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
it's sort of animalish in the face though, like a gargoyle.
Yeah.
And long. It's long. Go watch the movie. You'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, the lickening happens.
Yes,
and he wakes up and he's transported back into his dream world, but it's dusk now.
Yep.
Breakfast is gone. And he sees the candle, the angel game that Miss Anon brilliantly described earlier.
Yeah.
And he looks at it. There are 3 candles with the angel behind them on the table, and facing each candle, facing him, and he's looking at it. He's so pissed, and each candle blows out.
And she's narrating the whole time, actually, and she's explaining a time she played the game. The last time they played the angel game together.
Yeah, that's right. But the 3rd candle doesn't blow out, and then he wakes up.
No, her narration says you took the last candle and you blew it out.
Well, yeah, but we don't see it blow out. But yeah,
no. But she goes, I relit it just in time. In time. So
that's the standard abusive religious parent.
Yeah, yeah. And he wakes up, and this thing is in the house at this point. He sees it, and it goes after him, and it.
Well,
he has an injury at this point.
Yeah.
But before that, he's actually asleep, and it crawls up over him onto the ceiling, looking down at him
as he's sleeping, just above his bed. Yeah.
And it peers down and licks his face,
right up from chin to forehead.
Yeah.
And it's
that's when he wakes up in the dusk version of his fantasy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very, very abstract. It's very beautiful.
It's a really pleasant movie to watch. I highly recommend it. So he books it for the bathroom, and this thing's chasing him, and it gets a big claw mark down his back.
Yeah.
And he locks himself in the bathroom, and he's looking at this very giant gash in his back. And
it's
alarming to say the least.
It's big.
I just have to say, who hasn't had too much to drink one night and woken up next to a creature licking your face?
well, American Phoenix.
But I mean, not me. But
Okay, but this is the crux of the whole story, though. He wakes up and he comes out of the bathroom. And
there's nothing on his back.
There's nothing. And this is the scene, and I have goosebumps thinking about it. He's sitting on the stairs calling his buddy, his buddy called him, or his agent, I guess.
He called him really early in the morning and went, I'm sorry to wake you up, man, but
why didn't you tell me it was her that bought all this shit? And he's like, well, customer confidentiality, man. Like, and the guy's right too, right?
It's super nonchalant. He's like, well, I want to sell it. I want to sell all of it.
But that's what he says at the end. And Leon says, I just want to sell it. And then he just leaves.
And then who's
going to buy it now, though? If everything was bought by his mother, who's going to buy that shit now?
Yeah.
No one. It's going to sit on eBay forever.
This is where the entire kind of punchline of the film comes into play. Rosalind Leigh's, her brilliant narration, like Vanessa Redgrave's narration here is the most chilling.
I almost feel bad spoiling it.
Well, they're all dead.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
But yes, her final narration, which are the final lines in her will, which is essentially her saying that this is the reality she wished was reality. She wished that these things would happen to him so that he would believe what she believes, but they don't happen. and it's not real, and it's all in her head, and she died.
She killed herself.
She commits suicide believing in nonsense.
Yeah.
To ascend into more nonsense, I guess.
Yeah. Like,
she was hoping that the house would terrorize him into believing what she believed in. It doesn't.
Yeah. I don't believe that the three of us can actually do this narration justice, so I don't think we should try. But basically, it's all kind of like a shuck and jive kind of, like it's all kind of a front to none of it was real at all.
It's just what it's what she'd hoped would happen to him when he came to the house to clean up after her death. It's
where, like I said, too deep for most mainstream audiences.
Yeah. So what really happened, most likely, is he came to the house, he got the phone call from his agent, he gave him shit. Leon gave his agent shit.
Yep.
He may have had to call his therapist a couple times throughout the evening for a panic attack because of PTSD-induced memories. He went to bed. He ate dinner. Somebody from the neighborhood came up and welcomed him to the neighborhood. You know, oh, we knew your mother. You know, this and that. Please welcome. You know, let us know if you need anything. And we loved your mother. Whatever. And then he went to bed, woke up, and said, "Sell it all." That's it. Yep. That's all that happened.
Yeah.
But I must say that the way Rosalind killed herself, she crucified herself in front of that locked attic door. She actually, like, somehow
she stigmatized herself.
Yeah, the cultists probably helped her do it.
Did it for her.
Yeah, but we see one of the final shots of the movie is Rosalind Leigh's dead body, like, crucified over this attic door, and it's horrifying because she's rotting. And the last scene of the movie is the creature coming out of the door adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
And the very, very last shot of the movie is that her suicide note. Her suicide note is, "Do you miss me as much as I miss you?"
Yeah. That's
her suicide note.
Yeah.
That he found on the front desk in the near the mudroom.
It's so good.
It really is. And absolutely. And you think about it, the movie before credits is only 78 minutes long. It's only an hour and 18 minutes.
That's perfectly fine for a horror movie, though.
It is. I'm not complaining. It's short. Just it's just often horror movies are that short, but you know they try to cram too much in.
They make
I think this one is just about right, and it just
less is more. You don't have to constantly show the creature. You don't have to constantly have jump scares. You don't. One of the things that makes Alien so effective is the fact that you barely see the alien.
Barely, and when you do, it's so jarring.
Yeah, because you do barely see it.
That's what makes it one of the most frightening films ever made.
Yeah. I mean that there's probably largely due to budget and special effects at the time.
Sure, but sometimes it's not just due to budget; it's due to personal choice.
Well, I think having limits is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It forces the artist, no matter what it is. Think about it. Whether it's an album, like a heavy metal album, or whatever type of music, or a film, or a painting, I think the limits kind of bring out the best in an artist, whether they like it or not.
Because you can't rely on the $100 million special effects. You have to be creative. You have to rely
on yourself and your storytelling abilities, or your painting abilities, or songwriting, or whatever it is.
Less is usually more. Almost always.
It's almost a universal rule that is true in most cases.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have to break it down to its essence, basically.
I love the atmosphere of this movie. It's so palpable.
Yeah. Yeah, you can cut it with a knife.
Yeah. Because nothing. Absolutely. In fact, if it has perfect pacing. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Things happen just often enough.
I was afraid this would happen, where I'd feel a little bit self-conscious, talking about this movie. What I mean is, I think we might say too often that a film is like amazing, but I think we pick those movies for this show for that reason, on a personal level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Double Down.
Yeah, I like Double Down. I mean, come on.
That was the worst movie I've ever watched in my entire life. Oh, did we tell him that he took it off of his website?
Oh man, I want to get to that. Can I get to that after my kind of feel here?
Yes,
sorry, it's just
we'll have a segue.
I feel that a little self-conscious about it. I hate to use the word perfect. I don't know if this is a perfect movie. I don't know if any movie is perfect, but I really do love this film a lot, and I think it's executed really, really well. I was never bored throughout its entire whole 78-minute runtime, which isn't very long. I just think it's executed very well, especially for a first-time filmmaker. And I want to mention, just before I forget, there's another short film he directed just before this. Very short. It's only 6 minutes long. I'm going to post the link here just on our side chat. Just for the heck of it. I'll put it in the YouTube chat too.
Yeah, stick it in the
it's on YouTube. It's called The Facts in the Case of Mr. Hollow. And you'll see his fondness for that kind of camera trick, that slow moving, smooth camera transition. And this little short film that's only 6 minutes long is really, really compelling. It's kind of a whodunit. And it's just neat. And it just kind of gives the viewer kind of it was just an extra on the DVD of this movie. And it just kind of gives the viewer kind of a front row seat into this, the director's way of thinking.
Have to give it a watch after.
Yeah, it's just really cool. So
I was just going to say the thing about calling a movie perfect or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can actually say that a movie is perfect, but I think a good yardstick would be, is there anything about the movie you would change?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, I wouldn't change anything about it, then yeah, I think that's close enough to perfect.
I would say with this film, I wouldn't change a thing. I think he executed his vision well enough. Not to disrespect anybody that would change something. I mean, criticism.
No. Well, it's all personal taste, isn't it?
Well, certainly. But I wouldn't change a thing. I like it the way it is. I think it's very well done. It gets its message across. It doesn't really have a stark message per se.
Don't indoctrinate your kids.
It has a little bit of an anti-theist message, but not in a militant way. It's just kind of at face value.
I don't think it's attacking mainstream religion. It's attacking a
well,
cult.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And it's not so much a criticism as it is a, well, maybe you shouldn't indoctrinate your fucking kids like this. But it's not oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a propaganda piece at all. No. So, which I think if it was, it would ruin the film.
Yeah.
I think it would cheapen it.
I gotta say, I imagine this would be fairly easy to make, considering there's really only mainly one actor and it's in one location.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I know about the production is they rented a house from I think it was a family, like a small family or a couple. It's unclear.
And then just loaded it up with stuff.
Well, they rented the house for, I think, a month or maybe 2, and they just loaded it up with all of these props.
It's such a good
because the house was cool. Like Rod, the director, he saw the house from what I remember of this interview, and he's like, that house is awesome. The backyard is perfect. Everything is great. Let's use it. And like the budget for the film, reportedly, it's hard to come by, but the budget for the film was reportedly only about 110,000 Canadian dollars. 110,000 Canadian dollars.
Cheap. He's a cheap hooker.
About half of it went to Aaron Poole, but his performance was amazing. So he deserved the approximate $50,000 he got for his performance in this movie, because it was amazing. Quite a bit of it went to Vanessa Redgrave. There's only like maybe 10 or 15% of the cost went to the production of the movie set.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it went to Vanessa Redgrave and Aaron Poole, as it should have.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, if you're a first-time movie maker or you've got a limited budget, doing something like this is the way to go, right? Instead of trying too much, you build atmosphere and characters and story.
Yeah, I'm reminded of The Eyes of My Mother, because clearly
a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't have, not in theme at all, but it
the character building though.
Yeah, less
Absolutely.
is more. Low budget. There's only a handful of actors. There's only one main set.
Yeah, The Eyes of My Mother is something a little bit different in a way. I don't know if you two kind of caught that when we watched that movie, but that's a really short film as well. But The Eyes of My Mother felt about 3 hours long to me. And that's not a criticism. That's not bad.
Traumatizing.
It felt like I was sitting there for 3.5 hours watching this epic movie, and it's really only an hour and 18 minutes at the most.
It's an amazing movie, but it's traumatizing.
Yeah, it really is. It's so disturbing. Where this film, it feels short, but it's not jarring in that way because it's not traumatizing in that way.
It's not nearly as traumatizing anyway.
But sure, I mean, the comparison is valid, I think. Less is more.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a lot going on, but it's enough.
Yeah, for sure.
So Neil Breen, we traumatized him.
Oh yes, yeah.
We traumatized him. I mean, I like to think that we traumatized him because it tickles me, but it could just be a coincidence. But Double Down disappeared off of his website after our episode.
I have screen caps.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, I gotta find those. Fuck. Shit, I didn't think about that missing on. God damn it.
I'm not gonna screen share the screenshots right now. Maybe I'll put them on Twitter later for funsies.
Sure.
But after our episode aired where we reviewed Double Down and I was not particularly nice, it disappeared off of his website as for sale.
I was particularly nice.
It's on his website. Like the IMDb page still exists, the link, but you can't buy it anymore. And this happened like two days. Like 2 days after our thing.
He ran out of copies because so many people ran out and bought them after listening to it.
I can just see him.
I
can see him as the type of ego fucking maniac that sits around and searches his own name, and this popped up and he went, "Oh, look it! Some people watched my movie." Oh.
I think being the apologist I am, I think I might be the only one that pseudo defended him during that entire episode.
Oh no, I did too. I mean, look,
I mean, come on, right?
But I did say, good on him for having a go.
That's good. That's always good.
There was nothing defensible about that fucking movie.
Yeah,
well, maybe not. No, not the movie, Anon. Not the movie. The fact that he had a go at it. That's what I'm getting at. That's.
He put the camera and pointed it at shit and won all the medals.
Yeah. But I think he's a good example of trying too much with a low budget.
He's a try-hard. He tried way too hard.
Wait, Neil, we know you're a fan now, so if you're watching, nobody wants to see a dick that small on film.
Oh my!
Anyway.
I'm sorry. No. The Room was a more cohesive film.
Could on this topic, could I make a suggestion? It's something I've been thinking about for a little while.
Oh sure, why not?
Go for it.
Once every I don't know, 3 months or so, right? Could we do an additional show in which we each pick a totally horrendous movie and try to outdo each other with the worst, shittest movie possible?
I'm going to put my vote in. Please, God, don't make me do that.
Well,
I think it's a great idea.
I just find the most outrageous romance movies and make you watch those.
Just like awful movie, awful production, awful acting, really, really bad. And try to outdo each other. And then we all vote at the end. Of course, you can't vote for your own, but we'd have to, vote for.
You already won, though.
I think it's a great idea. So we just slot it in. So we have a rotation of every 4 episodes. So let's say every 3 rotations we just slot an extra show in.
Oh,
what do you think?
Please God, no.
It comes down to you, Biggs.
No, he's hiding in the bathroom now. You know what? He's gone to throw up thinking about Double Down now.
Oh, he's gone through his movie collection trying to find the
toilet.
Oh, that's where he keeps them.
Seriously, I don't think anything except maybe more movies produced by Neil Breen could be worse than that.
Oh, I've got some masterpieces. Don't worry.
I don't think I've ever been that angry watching a movie before.
Trust me, I've got some which are far worse.
It would just be you playing a game with yourself. Realistically, because
I'm sure Biggs can find some really horrendous movies.
Yeah, but the bad stuff he watches is still good.
Okay.
It's bad in like the best way, where it's still very entertaining. He's literally ran away. He's left the house now. I'm not even joking. He's out in the yard. I'm like, fuck this. I'm out of here. What have you done?
He's hoping a creature comes and takes him.
He's genuinely hoping you'll just forget that this was a suggestion you made. Like, I mean, I can't think of something we've watched where he's like, this is bad but really good, and I've hated it as much as Double Down. It was so upsetting.
All right, so I had a bit of a think, and I kind of let my my good taste and I've let myself go, and I will say that yes, I will. I'm up for this challenge.
Oh God!
I'll tell you what, Anon, we'll try it once. We'll try it once. And
how about we do it this way? How about the two of you pick movies and try to outbat each other, and I'll be the
okay. We can do that.
Well, let's just try it once. Just think of it like anal, okay?
Oh.
Try it once, and if it hurts too much, let me finish, and let's move on, okay?
I said no. Really though, okay. So the two of you could just pick terrible movies, and I'll tell you which one's more terrible. Which one makes me more upset.
You know what? That is a fun idea. I actually like that. So that's good.
We're gonna call these episodes "Torturing Anon."
Yeah, but you know what? This is good. You have to participate less. You don't have to pick your own movie now. This is good. Yeah. I can. This is good. I like that. That's good.
Okay. Yes, because I don't watch bad movies. I'm not that much of a masochist.
Oh yes, you do, and yes, you will.
Well, now I'm not gonna have a choice.
So, do we want to try this after next episode?
Well, okay. So what's the schedule here? I don't even know. I don't even know if we should.
The next one's a theme.
So we can just get an extra one in there.
What's the theme? Dawn Bluth, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. We can. There are spoilers. It's okay.
And then after that, it's meant to be me, but we can slot it in between.
Sure.
All right.
Let's do that. That sounds fun. Let's. Yeah. Okay.
I'm changing my picks for my next one too. I'm going to do a Gaspar Noé double take.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it.
I will love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially his latest movie, Climax. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's fantastic. Talking of low budget movies shot in 3 weeks.
I have not seen it, but I would like to. I know of it, so
don't watch it until it's my picks, because I want you to watch the movies in a particular order. So,
well, I can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we segue from ruining Neil Breen's career into being dead? Yeah, I think we could do that.
Well, I mean, to ruin his career, he'd have to destroy the housing market in whatever state he's from. So, I mean, to be completely honest. So I think he's okay. He's a real estate agent, my dear.
Yes.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have quit his.
And you can tell in his movie making.
I still stand by my statement I made in that fucking episode that we should cut his thumbs off so he can no longer operate a camera.
He'd find a way. I lost my thumbs in the war and won all the medals, and I still make movies.
I don't think he was operating the camera.
Well,
no, yeah, he was. He was putting it on a tripod and pressing record, clearly.
I think some of the shots, I think he just strapped it to a dog or something.
That's very true.
Oh, God. I still want to know what happened with the fucking rock and why it was there.
It's magic.
Oh, the magic rock that cured cancer, but didn't cure cancer.
It could cure cancer. Have you tried?
Yeah.
Give yourself cancer and try.
I did.
Well, you don't have cancer anymore, so there you go. Anyway, the others.
The rock did not
move
help.
on.
The others, they're all dead. The end.
Okay, the opening for this movie is
Neil Breen cures cancer. There you go. All right, you heard it here first, folks.
He's a monster and should be stopped.
Like cancer, but he stopped himself. It's all good. All right.
Did he kill himself?
No.
Oh, you made me excited.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Was that creature in The Last Will and Testament Neil Breen? I'm just wondering.
No, it acted too well. I can't believe you have done this, Rosalind. I can't believe you have suicided.
I can't believe you committed suicide.
Rosalind, why have you done this?
The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Breen. An asylum.
That needs to be made. That movie needs to be made. Only we would get it.
If that comes out, I'm gonna sue him. There's copyrighted spoilers.
If you can get me about 10,000 Canadian dollars, I can probably make that film.
We just need a dog and a camera.
The Neil Breen technique.
Yeah.
And a rock.
And a rock. Yeah,
and all the metal.
Anyway, the others.
The others.
Yeah.
The credits for the movie are so beautiful they make me want to cry.
I gotta say, the others is built upon a particular, a very good movie trope, which I've seen used a fair bit, but not so much that it's completely obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think most people wouldn't have seen the ending coming. I did though, because I've seen this trope a few times before.
Me as well. When I first saw, I first watched this film with Anon. Like 4 or 5 years ago. I completely ignored it, and I wish I hadn't, because this is probably, in my opinion, the best Hollywood horror film of the last 50 years. That's in my opinion. I know that's lofty, but I mean a big budget horror film. That's what I mean.
Stunning.
I probably wouldn't say that, but I would say it's got a great script, because it leaves all the breadcrumbs all the way through.
Yeah.
Sure.
All the clues that you don't put together, or most people won't put together until the end.
Sure.
And then,
those breadcrumbs are there, and they're
you watch the second time, you see all those little clues leading you to that conclusion. So it's very clever.
And
because it gives you all the pieces, it doesn't make it too obvious.
Can we take a moment and just praise Nicole Kidman, because her performance is flawless.
It is. Normally I wouldn't praise Nicole Kidman, but her performance in this movie is incredible.
And she had to put up being married to Tom Cruise. So
at this point in time, she was still married to good old TC. So.
Oh my God! Can I read American Phoenix's synopsis for this movie, please?
They're all dead.
They're all dead.
Is that the one where the Civil War bitch killed her children and herself, and then started haunting those poor bastards, thinking they were ghosts?
Well, I mean,
close.
spoilers.
Not Civil War, but
you know what? That's the synopsis that should be on the back of the Blu-ray case.
It's true.
Right,
some Civil War bitch.
She's British. She's English, so it's not Civil War.
Well, she's Australian, actually, but yeah.
Well, no, she's not in the movie. She's not.
Oh, sure she is.
And it's setting. Was it World War One? Around World War One.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah. So clearly Civil War era.
Toast Civil War.
Totally Civil War. Yeah.
No, I vote we put that synopsis on the back of the Blu-ray. The special edition Blu-ray. That's Civil War, bitch.
Yeah, that's a Criterion Collection release right there. There you go.
I love it.
And we can have a quote from Neil Breen saying, "Not as good as my movies."
That's right.
But still pretty okay.
Oh, you got to put the button there too. Not as good as my movies, but ... Yes, perfect. Yeah, but still pretty neat.
Okay. Pretty okay.
Pretty okay. You know, it didn't win all the medals, but
some of them, maybe three out of all the medals.
So the movie starts in a creepy old mansion.
Yeah.
Oh, the movie starts with a blood-curdling scream.
It does.
After beautiful credits and very, very pretty animation, soft violin music, really nice, blood-curdling fucking scream.
Yeah, they really put that budget to work, just even in the opening credits.
Yeah.
1945. This is just after World War II, actually. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. World War II. I don't know why I thought World War I, but anyway.
Well, just after, I guess. Yeah. It's kind of irrelevant, I guess, when it comes right down to it. Wartime, I suppose. Anyway, Anon, where were you?
Big creepy mansion.
Get some water. You guys can carry it for 2 minutes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Anyway, it opens with I don't remember her name. I'm terrible with that in films.
We'll just call her Nicole.
Yeah, it opens with Nicole's blood-curdling scream. And she looks really confused. She gets up, looks at her watch. It has a stretch. She's clearly had a night terror of some sort. And then we cut to right away. The film starts up actually quite quickly. Her three new employees or servants or whatever come and ring the doorbell.
Yep. So it's a elderly woman, elderly man, and a mute girl.
Yeah, a young woman. She looks maybe about 20.
I think she's the daughter of the other two, isn't she?
Well, that's what they say.
Yep.
Anyway, Nicole invites them in because she's been expecting them. I guess she's looking for just new custodians of the house. It's a huge mansion, set in the middle of a field. It looks like, just enveloped in fog.
That's Civil War, bitch.
That's right. Anyway, she's just let the trio of housekeepers in, the two elderly people and their daughter or granddaughter. I can't remember.
Not related.
Not related. Okay.
Oh, isn't she? I thought it was the daughter. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately, that Civil War bitch sends Mr. Tuttle out to tend to the gardens and shows the ladies around the big scary house and starts explaining to them that it's very important that they lock every door when they enter a room and when they leave a room, because they have to contain the light. And she thinks about
the children are redheads. They can't go to the sun.
They're all dead gingers.
Didn't you get third-degree burns once from the moon at night?
I told you that story in confidence.
I'm sorry.
I'm leaving.
Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you with your moon burn story, but
it was really hot that night.
And it wasn't even a full moon, so
still bright.
4 degrees Celsius with cloud cover.
So, anyway, Nicole decides, what is her name in the movie? Help me. I don't want to go this whole calling her that.
Nicole. No, Nicole.
We've just been calling her Nicole because we're both terrible at this, apparently.
We're all boomers.
Yeah, we all prepared for this, and we can't remember the main character's name. So,
yeah,
that's so unacceptable.
Oh, her name is Grace. Grace.
Thank you.
Grace.
I knew it was something generic, which makes it even harder to remember.
Mrs. Grace Stewart.
So Grace decides that it would be easier to just show them why they have to contain the light. So she walks them into a hallway. They close all the curtains. She lights a small oil lantern and says, "This is as much light as can be had around the children." And she lets them out, and of course we're greeted with two really fucking creepy kids, because why wouldn't they?
Because they're vampires.
They are vampires, tiny vampires, and they're dead.
Spoilers.
So she brings the children out, and she's very soft spoken with them, very sweet, like any mother would be. And she explains that they're light sensitive, that they have a severe allergy to light, and any light much brighter than the low candlelight will burn them, and they will
vampire gingers, in other words.
They're blonde. Damn you.
Vampire German, then whatever.
Aryan,
vampire Aryan specimens. Yes,
they're yellow on the outside, red on the inside.
That's right. Sure, there's some freckles on there somewhere.
She said she describes the light like water, which needs to be contained at all times because it could kill her creepy fucking spawn. So she gives the elderly maid a set of her own keys. And I hate that I can't remember the names of anybody except Mr. Tuttle for some fucking reason. I remember.
Well, her children's name are Anne and Nicholas, or Anne and Nick for short. And I don't know. I can't remember I actually can't remember the servants' names either.
Something like Mrs. McCreed or something.
Yeah.
Mrs. Mills. Mrs. Mills. Yeah, Mrs. Mills is the older maid, and
that's right. Yeah, Mrs. Mills, Bertha Mills, and then there's Mr. Tuttle. I can't remember his first name, but yeah, and then there's Lydia. I think is the
mute girl. Yes.
Yeah.
So this basically is the entirety of the movie at this point. Is just her interactions with her children and these new servants. Now, I think the next main event.
Well, the little girl is talking to an imaginary friend, isn't she?
We haven't heard about him quite yet.
We don't have to do everything in absolute order. We can just go.
No, that's true. At this point in time, yeah, she probably has been. Yeah.
Yes. What's his name?
Who, the boy?
Yes.
Not dead
Victor.
boy.
Victor. She's an imaginary friend named Victor.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
She's been speaking to. And
she's a very headstrong little girl too, isn't she?
Yeah, she's rather boisterous. And then we get a scene of Mrs. Mills making their breakfast. And she goes, I liked the toast before. This is one of those breadcrumbs that I think Bane was talking about. She comments that the toast doesn't taste the same.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I liked it better before, and emphasizes the before. And Mrs. Mills passes it off, waves it off as, that's just because somebody else used to make it.
Breadcrumbs because it's toast. I get it.
Well, no. She is right about how it tasted different before. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
You mentioned Bane about Anne being headstrong. I think Anne is wiser beyond her years than the audience even realizes.
Oh yes. Yeah, for sure.
Like I think in like we all know that they're all dead. That spoilers being spoiled. But Anne, she just, she tantrums like a child here and there, but she's just, I like her. She's very wise beyond her years,
she does drive a lot of the story. So.
She really does, yeah. Not only is she a really talented young actress at this time in her career, but like the character she plays is very headstrong and just wise beyond her years, and she's frustrated with the situation, even though she doesn't really know what the situation is.
Yeah.
But speaking of breadcrumbs, there's a bit where they're talking about the Bible and about children who die going to children's limbo.
That's right. That's something that go on.
Obviously, you don't know that's in context of the twist at the end that they're all dead, but that's a big clue of what's happening later on.
Sure.
And there's lots of things like that right throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's sort of an overarching theme between both films, is the religious overtones. They both have that. They both have that indoctrinating.
Well, yeah, children basically betrayed by their own parent in a way. I guess it's less overt in this film than it is in Rosalind Leigh, obviously. But
I mean, she does shoot them.
Well, okay then.
It's less overt. Leon gets to live the rest of his life.
No, what I mean is in the narrative sense.
Yes,
you're
right.
The hit you over the head with it. In Rosalind Leigh that epiphany comes like really 20 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
So it's different.
We're led to believe that Grace is a really loving mother, albeit a little overbearing.
She is a loving mother.
Yes, and I think
even at her deepest fault, she is. She's
insane. That's all.
She is insane, but she's clearly a very kind woman. She's a very kind woman, and she's a good mother at her core. It's just
in the before times, like obviously before she kills them, I think the lack of light actually literally drove her insane.
Sure.
Because you can actually get ill from severe vitamin D deficiencies, and
so it wasn't the death of her husband in the war.
Probably that too.
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. Sure, that could have.
I think that was probably the main catalyst.
I would say yes. Well, yeah, and she was alone in that house.
A catalyst isn't necessarily a means to an end either.
Yeah,
it can definitely. It's a Kickstarter maybe. But yeah, that was definitely in her grief. I think that's what the film's going for.
Yeah.
The overwhelming grief. But Anon's not wrong either.
Also, she didn't shoot them anyway. She smothered them with a pillow.
Yeah. Well, we know that. I guess we should mention that actually. Yeah.
So I do want to spend a bit of time talking about the trope in it though, because it's such a good trope and it's at the core of the movie. So instead of going through each scene of the movie, maybe we should just dive right into that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
That's fine.
Because the trope of the movie is all the people, the mother and her two children in the house start to see ghosts or think that the house is haunted. It starts with the children, starts with the girl, and then the boy, and eventually the mother thinks that maybe the house is haunted too.
She thinks there's Nazis in the house at first.
Yeah. So the big twist at the end is that the mother and the two children are actually the ones who are dead, and the people that they think were the ghosts are actually living.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic trope. Like I said, it's one I've seen before, but I don't think it's been used so often that it's immediately.
It's not immediately apparent to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
As soon as it's being used, but and when it's well done, it's really well done.
And boy, is this ever well done.
Yeah.
It is. I think the reason why I figured it out early on is because when I was about, I think 18 or 19, I was going through a bout of insomnia, and I was up at 4 a.m. watching free-to-air TV, and there was this old English television show, which was probably from the 50s or something like that. And it was like an anthology show, so it was a different story every episode. Really cheaply done. It was basically one set except for the end scene, and I think it was all shot live too. And it's two people. You hear like a noise of a car crash, and two people come into this room, which is the one set, and they've been in a car accident and they're seeking help in this country house, and they can't find anyone. The house is deserted, and eventually they hear noises and they think the house is haunted and there's ghosts in the house. And then by the end of the episode, it's only like half an hour or something, they figure out that the ghosts in the house are actually living people, and they rush back to the car crash that they'd been in, and they see their own bodies in the car. So it's exactly the same trope, but
that's kind of like excuse me, a trope that was used similarly in like Twilight Zone episodes and such.
It has been around a fair bit, but not.
No,
not
it has, but
it's too obvious.
It's not as overused as exactly. Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
and it's also used in The Sixth Sense as well.
It is quite effectively, in my opinion. I like The Sixth Sense a lot.
Oh, I think it's the best movie he's made, which isn't hard considering some of them.
I was just going to say that's not saying much, but yeah.
But I wonder if he was influenced by the others.
Well, no, because The Sixth Sense came 2.5 years before. So
did it?
It did, yes.
I was thinking that was early 2000s for some reason.
The others is late 2001. The Sixth Sense is late 90s.
Was it late 90s? Was it?
Yes, yes, sir.
That's my mistake. I was thinking it was 2003 or something like that.
No, sir. No.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really that old? Is it 20 years old? Wow.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No. It's one of those things. It's yeah. I hear you. It's just It's a 99 film, 1999. So, The Sixth Sense is rather.
Yeah.
The others is 2001.
I thought the others, for some reason, I thought the others was a remake of a movie, but it's not. I don't know why.
It kind of is. It kind of is. It's a remake of The Innocents. Also known as Don't Open the Door, also known as various other names. But mostly it's based on a horror novel from 1898, same year as the original Bram Stoker's Dracula, called The Turn of the Screw.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, and that little mini novel is just based on I think like an English governess, like an English, I can't remember what her title is, but she's a higher up person in society. And basically she just becomes convinced that the grounds, the castle grounds are haunted. And it just kind of goes from there. But yeah, I mean, this movie is a pseudo remake of a film called The Innocents, I think from 1963.
I thought it was.
That film is also known as. It kind of is, not really. And that film is also known as Don't Open the Door, and it goes by a whole bunch of other names too.
Yeah, I looked it up on Wikipedia because I thought I'd watch the original as well, but it didn't say anything on Wiki, and I thought I must have got that wrong. But
you didn't really get it wrong, but you didn't get it correct either. It's kind of
it's not a remake. It pays homage, major homage.
Basically, the others would not exist without Don't Open the Door, or rather, The Innocents, whatever, you know. And The Innocents, the 1961 movie, is itself based on The Turn of the Screw, the original 1898 novel. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. It is a remake of that movie.
There's one other short movie that I want to mention, which it kind of uses this trope, but a little bit differently. You may remember that in the past I've mentioned that in the 90s, a TV station here called SBS used to have cult classics, where they used to play a lot of cult movies like Ghost in the Shell and things like that.
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah, yeah.
On an episode, yeah.
But after that, they used to have a show called Eat Carpet, which was all shorts from around the world, right? And at the time, that was basically the only place you could get to see a lot of these things. Now, they're all on YouTube and things like that. But this was back in the mid '90s or whatever.
Well, you couldn't really find this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's basically one short that I remember from that show, which I wish I could show you because it was so great. Only went for about 3 minutes. And once again, you hear a car accident, and then you see from the perspective of the main character, and you hear an inner monologue in her head, right?
Yeah.
And she's laying on the ground, and she's kind of looking over, and you can see the car that's been in the accident. And she looks over in the other direction, and she sees a dead body over the fence, and she figures it's her husband or whatever. And, she's starting to get upset, but she calms herself down because she thinks, I have to concentrate on surviving. I'll grieve for him later. I have to just focus. And she's trying to move her body, but she can't move. So she figures she's pretty severely injured. She tries to yell for help, but she can't talk. So, it's pretty bad, and she's getting panicky, but she calms herself down again, thinking someone will come along and, help us, right? Or help me.
Yeah.
And like I said, only goes for about 3 minutes of this inner monologue. And then you see movement near the car, and she kind of looks over, and she's thinking someone's come to help me. But it turns out that it's her husband.
Oh,
At which point she thinks, whose body is that on the fence, right? At which point he looks down, and he's horrified. He's looking down at her, in her eyes, and he's just horrified. And it cuts to a scene of her severed head on the side of the road. And he's putting his jacket over the top of it, and it fades to black. And there's text on the screen which says something like, during the French Revolution, severed heads from the guillotine were often held up, and the eyes would move. And some people have thought that maybe brain activity lasts for minutes after the head's been severed. So, yeah, she'd been in the car accident and had her head severed, and we were experiencing her last thoughts. And she thought that, she thought the dead body on the fence was her husband's, but it turned out to be her own.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's like great little 3 minute.
That sounds
movie.
Very disturbing and compelling.
Yeah, it was. It was great. It's basically the only short I remember from that show. But I thought it's a similar trope because, technically she wasn't dead yet, but she didn't realize that, she was in the process of dying.
Yeah.
You need to do
that. I would really like to see that, actually.
I wish I knew the name of it, but I have no idea what it's called.
With a little bit of research, we could probably find it. But
it'd be great if we could. It's probably on YouTube somewhere, but I don't know where to start looking for it.
So, no kidding.
And it was about 25 years ago or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It might be swallowed up in
it might be, but
ether.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's very effective if you can keep the audience from guessing. That twist at the end, that twist really hits hard. That realization, because you're experiencing what that character is experiencing, and you experience their realization when they realize it too, and that's what really makes it effective. And I think that's what makes The Others a very effective movie, even though I guess the ending, because I've watched a lot of movies and I've seen this trope before.
Yeah, see, I guessed the ending too. The main reason for that is because I've seen The Innocents a dozen times.
Oh, okay, yep.
So I watched the first 20 minutes of this movie, and I was like, this is a remake of The Innocents. Or AKA Don't Open the Door, or whatever you want to call it. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, The Others is the superior film by far. That's my opinion, but I mean, come on, just look at it.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Our only fan has a message for you. American Phoenix wanted me to tell you that you're old.
I certainly feel old.
Not you, Bane.
I am old, yeah. Thanks for that, yeah.
You went for his feelings. That wasn't very nice.
Yes, I was alive during the 90s, if that makes me old.
He's just a baby. That's why he's in his early 20s.
I think we were both, Bane and I were both alive during the early 90s.
Yes, and even the 80s.
I
was sort of.
And I might have even been alive during the 70s.
Oh.
Well, you got me beat. I'm out of the game. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done.
He was born in 92. Aw.
I remember falling on my face and scraping my face on my bicycle or on the pavement from my bicycle.
I saw Empire Strikes Back at the cinema twice when it first came out. So there.
Yeah.
That makes me jealous.
You should be.
In 92, I had never been in a movie theater in my entire life. So, because my entire life was a single digit.
All right, thanks a lot. You totally sidetracked us. Where were we?
Yeah.
So the trope is good. When it's done right, it's really good.
Yeah, and this slowly reveals the trope. We see things like, that where she's talking about the purgatory for children who haven't been baptized or something like that, right? So it introduces the idea of ghosts, and then later on we see the photos which have been taken of people who have died. And there's that missing photo which Nicole Kidman's character finds of the three servants.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, there's the fact that they turn up because they've answered an ad, but she finds the letter hasn't been sent to the newspaper to place the ad. And she says, well, how did you know that, I needed servants if the ad wasn't placed?
Honestly, Mrs. Mills' explanation for that wasn't terrible. It didn't overly suspicious. She just said, we go door to door at these big houses and just offer our service.
And that they'd previously worked in that house, which was true.
Mm-hmm. It was true. And yeah, her quick thinking, I suppose, on her feet, I guess they had an ulterior motive at that point. But yeah, it wasn't untrue at all.
Yeah, these big houses always need extra hands is basically what she said, which it's a big house, and it was after the war, and I'm sure the economy was crap, and maybe they did do that. It's seamless. So it's suspicious, but she explains it off so well that you don't continue to feel suspicious, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's the clever part. It gives you that clue, but there's another explanation for it, so you don't really look into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they're talking about children in purgatory, you're not thinking, well, that's because the children are actually dead. You're thinking that's because of the conversation that they're having.
Yes.
I like how Grace is kind of slowly still losing her mind in the movie. And her and Anne fight quite a bit, and they have some big heated arguments about certain things. But there's this one in particular where Anne is telling her that there's somebody in the house, and she doesn't believe her, and she's punishing her, and she's reading Bible verse off of the stairs. And somebody is upstairs opening and closing the doors, and she thinks it's Lydia. But Lydia's outside.
Oh, what a chilling scene. Yeah.
Lydia's outside talking to Mrs. Mills just after Grace has said, Lydia's upstairs running around making such a racket while she's cleaning. She needs to just calm down.
Yeah.
And there's loud, thunderous running from upstairs, which, I mean, obviously, for a moment, we all assume is Lydia, including Grace, until she looks outside and sees
Lydia, the mute girl.
Mute girl and Mrs. Mills both outside. And she goes out, and Anne's still on the stairs. And kudos to this young actress because her delivery.
Isn't she amazing? Yeah.
It's really well done. She goes, I tried to tell you that there was somebody in the house and then you punished me. Meanwhile, she's hearing people running around upstairs at this point. So this is when she gets in her head that there's a Nazi in the house. So
I'm not laughing because I'm laughing at her. I'm laughing at the situation. It's very uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable situation.
You should have called Antifa, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Need those black masks.
Those teenagers in their black masks and
that's the best way to fight Nazis.
Yes, sir.
So basically, she goes upstairs into this room, and we're frightened. She's frightened.
Oh, the scene is so jarring. Absolutely, it's very.
The door a little bit. The curtains aren't closed, and so Anne is exposed to light, and she obviously goes, "Holy crap, Mom, you're letting the light in," which means she has to plunge into the room really abruptly. Which in a horror movie, we're sort of used to people having to take things painfully slowly.
Yeah.
But then she's very suddenly in this extremely bright room in contrast to how dark the rest of the film is.
Exactly. It's excruciating at that point. It almost it bothers the viewer's eyes, not just Grace's. All of a sudden.
It's the opposite. You should when people enter light rooms, usually it makes you feel better. But in this instance, definitely not.
Well, think about it. If the entire film was bright and wonderful and lovely and stay out of the dark, it would be the same feeling. It turns it on its ear in a way that it's subconscious. I didn't even think about that until the film ended. And I thought about it and went, holy moly, that's kind of backwards. That's, yeah.
Well, no, technically nowhere is safe because there's some really creepy stuff that happens at night in the fog later on too.
Mm-hmm.
So Anne can clearly see these entities that are in the house, and she's Grace backs up into a mannequin after us. What would you describe that sound as?
Which sound? Sorry.
The sound that we hear inside that room, what is it?
Make it for us. Go on.
I can't. That's the thing. It doesn't sound human.
I can't make that sound either. I know what you're talking about now.
It's sort of like guttural breathing a little bit. It's creepy, whatever it is, and it's really startling. She backs up into a mannequin, which and then she starts ripping sheets off.
What a jarring scene! Like the production in this movie.
Oh, it's so good. And she rips the sheet off a mirror, and she sees that somebody's opened the door. So she goes and runs out the door and starts asking Anne where they've gone, and she's pointing at all these rooms, saying, "Oh, there's two over here, there's one over there." And that's the mad hunt for the Nazis.
Yeah.
They put the kids in a room and they rip open all the curtains and they look in every corner and they look everywhere and they don't find anybody. Which of course makes Grace feel even more crazy.
Yes.
And this is when she decides that now they've searched the whole house and she needs the whole house to be blessed. And we're getting up to more breadcrumbs here because she goes off into the fog and Mrs. Mills, Mr. Tuttle have a little conversation and he goes, "Do you think it's wise to let her go off out there on her own?" And Mrs. Mills goes, "Oh, don't worry. The fog won't let her get very far."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we know that they know far more than they're letting on.
And they're starting, the mask is slipping.
Yeah.
Especially with the children. She's even alluded to the children won't be as hard to convince, but I think the mother's going to be a problem.
And the three graves as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's when he hides them again. When they're having that little conversation, she goes, "Speaking of which, you better we see the top of a gravestone." Proceeds to hide, which she's actually asked them to look for. Because now she's convinced Anne is telling the truth about Victor and that there's a small family that died in the house and it's haunted. Because clearly, they didn't find any Nazis.
Well,
yeah, so at this
Grace
point...
with her shotgun.
Yeah.
At this point, we know something is going on and the maid and that know that something's going on. So we probably think that they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Or they're somehow, but they're not actually. So
Not at
once
all.
again,
Not at all.
Misdirection.
There really is no antagonist in this movie, actually.
No.
So unless you count Grace, which, I mean, you could kind of.
Well, you know what? Maybe in her past life, but in this life, no. I don't think she's
an anti-antagonist.
She's not played as the antagonist.
No.
So, in fact, she's the protagonist.
Well, in this film, absolutely she is. And even we find out what she did later. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's hard to... I can't despise the woman. You know what I mean? Like...
Like, I mean, yeah, she's pretty...
I mean, come on. Who hasn't wanted to kill some kids before? You're on a... You're on a train and they're sitting behind you with their sticky little fingers.
Yeah, and then you got your shotgun looking for Nazis, and
there's
those little fucking Nazis chewing gum loudly behind you. Oh, man.
Damn fascist.
You ever been on a plane with a crying baby? Come on.
You ever been on a plane with a crying Nazi? God damn it.
Crying Nazi baby. Complete with a little mustache.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
So when she's
it's dark in here. I need to open some curtains.
Hey man, she finds something way better than a priest in the fog. She finds the doctor.
Yeah. Yes, she does. Sometimes I bleed.
Oh no.
What was that?
You can't blindside me with that.
That's the only line in this entire movie that it makes me laugh.
Is so fucking funny. Anyway, she's stumbling around in the fog. It's getting thicker and thicker, and she's seeing less and less. And then she stumbles upon her husband,
who she thought was dead in the war.
Yes, who she thought died in the war.
Spoilers. He is.
Everybody's dead.
They're all dead. The end. So she's surprised because she thought he was dead, but it turns out he's not dead. But it turns out he really is dead.
Yeah,
that's not confusing, is it?
So anyway, she finds her husband, whose name is Charles, and she brings him back to the house, and he's confused.
Strange. Yeah,
strange and confused. He's very confused. Like, he recognizes her, but he doesn't know. I think he's very aware that he's dead, which is why he's very confused as to why he's seeing her.
Does he remember getting back to England? I think he just remembers being in the war, doesn't he? And then he woke up in the fog.
He said, "I basically been wandering, trying to find my way home."
Yeah, so I mean that would be confusing, right?
Sure, I think he does know that he's dead, though.
I think he does. I think he knows he's dead. I think that's why he leaves them again, because he can't stand to be around his wife and his children because they're dead. And Anne tells him what happens.
that she the mother hurt her at some point.
Yeah. That she went mad. Anne refers to this a lot as the day Mummy went mad.
Uh-huh.
So there's an interaction between Chris, Charles, and Grace where he looks at her all deadpan and goes, "Sometimes I bleed."
And the delivery is fine.
In the movie, it's fine, but if you just watch that one clip, his ears, the way they move when he delivers too.
Yes.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
It shouldn't be hilarious, but it is.
Hilarious because basically he's. But it's funny. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes.
I will fight them. It's hilarious for no particular reason. It just is.
But during the film, that line is very poignant and
it's strange.
Important.
It is poignant. It's strange because
yeah.
Normal people don't say that shit.
No, he's laying next to his wife, who he hasn't seen in who knows how long, and they've just made love, and and he looks at her. No, like they're laying, and the camera angle is beautiful too, and he looks at her and goes, "Sometimes I bleed."
That line is before that. He doesn't say anything to her after that. He just leaves.
Really?
Yeah.
After? Really? Okay. Yeah.
They're having a conversation, and she goes, "You want to leave me, don't you?" And that's when they have their tender moment. And
sure.
While she's still asleep, he leaves. Doesn't say a word, just leaves, and she wakes up and he's gone. And has a meltdown, as you do, you know.
Well, yeah, I can hardly blame her.
Yeah, no, that's it's heart-wrenching.
Yes.
And of course, there's the scene where the kids wake up and the curtains are open.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that is a jump scare and
a half.
And a half. That is awesome. Yeah.
But it's also a clue because they should be dead if they're
they should.
They're
they should be. According
Does that make sense? They should be dead if they're alive.
According
they're not dead because they're
according
dead.
according to Grace, I mean, Anne was probably sleeping in that sunlight for at least a couple hours. Oh yeah, you would think that she would be bubbling.
You're not talking about the when it was at night when Victor was opening and closing the curtain.
No. That. Well, I guess we skipped over that. I meant when Anne woke up and she wakes up slowly and then notices the curtains are.
Oh yeah, they should have been
screams.
Dead. Realistically, yes, they definitely should have been dead there.
We're saying they should have been dead, but they're actually dead, which is a little bit confusing. But anyway,
they're all dead.
They're all dead.
They can't die. They can't double die.
No.
Just Neil Breen. Double die. I can't believe you have suicided.
But yeah, that was a pretty big clue. Another clue that you know things aren't as they seem because they should be dead because of that.
I like there's a conversation. We skipped over I think when Anne takes on the face of the old woman too. She's
we should mention the old woman. The daughter is seeing an old woman.
Grace finally
like
asks Anne what she's been seeing and who she's been seeing, and she's got these pictures, these little drawings of all the people she's seeing: the mother, the father, Victor, and then the old woman who she's seen the most. And she goes, her breath smells, and it's just so creepy. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And of course, the old woman turns out to be a medium.
Yep.
A real old woman, and a
real alive old woman communicating with them on behalf of the living family that now lives in that house, trying to figure out why they're being haunted.
Why do the curtains keep shutting?
Why do the curtains keep opening?
Well, the ghosts are thinking why the curtains keep opening, but the living people are thinking why do the curtains keep shutting?
Yeah. So they finally get fed up and take the curtains down.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them.
Yeah. Fuck it, we'll just take the curtains down then.
I didn't order a house with self-closing curtains. What's going on here?
Bullshit, it's the middle of the day.
This isn't one of those newfangled houses from the future.
I did not sign up for this. How could you have done this? So they take the curtains, but there's a scene where Grace sees the old woman's face on Anne, and it's really well done. She's put her in this really fancy dress that she's going to wear for the christening, and she needs to take the sleeves in. But Anne wants to wear it and play in it for a little longer.
Well, yeah, because it looks pretty, and she's like 11, so yeah.
And she's pretending to be a ghost in it, which is, as kids would. She's wearing a veil, for fuck's sakes. And she was instructed very poignantly, don't sit on the floor. The floor is dirty. You can't get this dress dirty. So Grace comes back in, already a little perturbed, because she tells Anne it's time to take the dress off.
And Anne's a little bitch, so.
Totally ignoring. And Grace goes in, walks over, and sees the old woman's hand playing with Anne's puppet coming out of the dress.
Yeah.
And looks at her face and goes, "What did you do to my daughter?" And it's Anne's voice coming out of an amalgamation of the old woman and Anne's face. It's
very jarring.
It really is, because Grace loses her fucking mind and attacks Anne. Where's my daughter? What have you done to my daughter? And Anne's screaming. And Mrs. Mills comes in and goes, what's going on? Of course, when you hear a child screaming, as you would.
Yeah.
And Anne goes, she's gone mad, she's gone mad. And at this point, Grace now sees that it's her daughter. She's not seeing the old woman anymore. And Mrs. Mills takes Anne away and has a short conversation with Anne and Nicholas about what happened. And this is when Anne and Nicholas both confess to her that they don't believe everything in the Bible. And in...
Yeah.
Nicholas says something really funny. He goes, I don't think doves are holy. They poo on our windows.
That made me laugh too. I mean,
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. And Mrs. Mills goes back to Grace and says, there's no calming her. She's very upset. She wants her father, but at this point, he'd already left. And Mrs. Mills gives her a migraine tablet. And this is when she really starts losing it, because now she thinks Mrs. Mills is drugging her.
Yes.
Everything's going wrong. Poor Grace. It's a conspiracy.
There's all spooky shenanigans going on in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the curtains disappear.
Mm.
And that's when they go on a house hunt for the curtains. Can't find the curtains. She kicks them out of the house. Mrs. Mills is annoyed. This is another breadcrumb. They have a conversation again. Mrs. Mills and Mr. Tuttle. And she's had quite enough of Grace's shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to bring this to a close, she says, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just ironic, considering.
And she also says, I think the children are more reachable, or they're more likely to believe, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, Non mentioned that before. Yeah, she mentions to Mr. Tuttle that the children are like less trouble, I guess, or yeah, something to that degree.
So that's when she tells Mr. Tuttle to go uncover the gravestones.
Mm-hmm. It's very explicit too. They just go uncover the gravestones, and then the scene is done. Yeah.
Now, I actually thought the gravestones would have been the mother and the two children, but it turns out that was wrong.
No, yeah, it's I like that too. I like that bit.
Oh, we forgot to mention. Did we mention a little something? The Mr. Tuttle, not Mr. Tuttle, the old woman. I can't remember her name. I keep forgetting.
Mills.
Mrs. Mills, yeah. She shows the children and or Grace the pictures of the still people, the dead people.
Grace finds that, and then
yes,
don't want it in the house.
Yes. But as we find out very soon now in the plot, after the children discover the graves, because Anne, being the headstrong little girl that she is, sneaks out of the house.
She wants to go find her dad. She goes, I want to go find my dad, and Nicholas is scared to go alone.
You can come with me if you want, and makes fun of her little brother a little bit, but of course she doesn't. Well, sure, but she doesn't mean anything. Of course she loves her little brother, you can tell, right? But this is where the epiphany comes in.
Mm-hmm.
With those pictures. I think Grace finds those pictures.
Grace finds the pictures around the exact same time that Anne finds the graves, and she's reading them, and she sees Mr. Tuttle and Mrs. Mills and Lydia's names on the gravestones, and Nicholas is approaching them at this point.
And he won't stop because
he goes, "You're always teasing me and lying. Yeah. You said ghosts go around in white sheets carrying chains."
Yeah.
And she goes, I lied. Those are ghosts.
So she's trying to convince Nicholas that
these humans, that these people who don't look anything like the ghosts she's ever described to him are ghosts. Yeah.
And of course, being the big sister, all she's ever done to him is lie and tease him. Yeah.
And then they go screaming together back to the house. And Grace comes out, and is she armed at this point? I don't think so.
I don't think she is. No.
They run back in the house, lock the doors.
That's yeah, that's right. She finds that picture, before that, and then
she's still searching for the curtains, looking in their room, and she finds them in the dead portraits that people used to do.
Now I have to say, the first time I saw this film, I'm pretty sure, Anon, you knew I was going to mention this. When the ghosts, I guess, or they've always been ghosts for the whole film of Mr. Tuttle and Miss Mills and Lydia are approaching the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we're at this point. And Anne goes, "Mother, no, please don't open the door. Don't open the door." That's like the biggest allusion to the original film, The Innocents. And I had to pause the film and go, holy shit.
She goes, don't let them in. Don't open the door.
Yeah. And I know that's such a like, who wouldn't say that? Don't open the door, right? But it's more than a coincidence in this particular film, considering it's a pseudo remake of a film called Don't Open the Door.
So I take it they use the exact same trope in that movie.
Pretty much, more or less. Yeah. Not at the same time. The Innocents is a good movie, but it's not as good as this. It's kind of boring. It's like an hour and 45 minutes long. It's kind of but it's good. It's just it's the same trope, but it's not done to this level. Well,
yeah, remakes can be good, but
this particular remake is
on the original.
Well, I mean, The Thing is better. Well, I'm not, maybe not objectively, but I mean, pretty much, right? Like, The Thing is better. The Fly is subjectively better than its original film. The Mummy, Dracula, for fuck's sake, like, you know what I mean? Their remakes can be amazing.
Like a million Dracula movies.
Well, the thing is, the one that we know as the original, Bela Lugosi, is a remake.
Well, there's Nosferatu before that.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's just it. The one that most people think of as the original is not. It's a remake, and it's amazing, but it's a remake.
Well, it's the same with what's the name? Sorry, I've just gone blank because lack of sleep. Bloody, what's the name with the Munchkins and Yellow Brick Road? Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Lack of sleep.
Yellow Brick Road.
Well, the first thing that goes with lack of sleep is remembering the names of things.
Wizard
of Oz is a remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was two versions before that, before the one that we know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
one starred which was the fat one from Laurel and Hardy? I always get them confused.
Me too. This is just going to be an fest, by the way.
Yeah,
we're both aging film nuts at this point, so I think we should.
The fat one from Laurel and Hardy actually appeared in one of the previous Wizard of Oz movies, and of course, the Wizard of Oz was remade as The Wiz.
Yes.
All right. So
it's been 4 versions.
You're right though. Yeah, this is essentially a remake, and it is almost objectively better than The Innocents. So, but anyway, yeah.
Grace arms herself because you would do that with ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, she is armed when she goes outside.
She goes outside, yeah, but she doesn't fire upon them or anything.
Yes, she does.
Are you sure?
Yeah, she unloads it.
Oh wow.
Throws it and then throws it because she's shooting at them and it's not doing anything.
It's doing fuck all. Yeah.
And that's when they all run inside the house, lock the door, and that she tells them to hide, which they do. They go and hide in a closet.
And I know that Anne's line was an allusion to "Don't open the door" because the camera was zooming in on her face as she said it. So I know it was just one of those things meant to get fans of the original film going, "Woo!"
Yeah, it's self-aware.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So this is when Grace has a bit of an interaction with Mrs. Mills through the door, and she goes, "You're gonna want to let us in because now you're locked in there with the intruders." Which
or I must say, in the original film, now you're locked in there with the innocents. So yeah. So there you go. There's that.
Yeah. So that it's just the goosebumps. If you haven't figured out at this point that Grace and the children are also dead, it's really, really unnerving when you think that maybe Mrs. Mills, Mr. Tuttle, and Lydia were protecting them from maybe bad or worse entities from the other side.
Which turns out to not be true. They were protecting them from themselves.
Yes.
But
it cuts to Anne and Nicholas inside the closet, and Anne decides she's going to be brave and go and help her mother, make sure she's okay.
Yes.
And the second she steps out of the closet, we're greeted with a seance.
Yeah.
With the old woman and the wife and a couple of men.
Yeah.
And
the big reveal.
And there's Anne and Nicholas in the corner beside the table, a little ways away. Yeah.
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 So Grace hears Anne scream, and of course she goes running upstairs.
Of course, yeah.
Mrs. Mills is like, you're in there with other people, with other things.
Seeing Anne whisper in that old woman's ear is so chilling.
So she asks Anne, what did your mother do to you that day?
Mm-hmm. What
happened in this house? And then Grace is standing in the doorway watching her daughter tell this old woman
that she,
Well, she doesn't know that they died at this point.
No, but Anne is telling her what she thinks happened.
Yeah.
So, and we don't know what Anne says, and that's irrelevant.
The old woman says, "Why do you remain in this house? Why don't you pass on?" This is the heap big reveal that they're also dead.
The papers in the air is such a well done moment.
When she rips the papers.
You'd think it would be cheesy, but it's not. With the epiphany,
they're all screaming, "We're not dead! We're not dead!"
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to the perspective of the living, and we see the paper flying around in the room, and the table shaking, and there's nothing because they obviously can't see them because they're dead. They were dead all along.
Spoilers.
And the old woman's obviously really pained by this interaction because, you would be if it's angry spirits tend to be painful for mediums. So we're led to believe. And that's when the mother decides that it's time for them to move out because I can't live in a house where a woman smothered her 2 children and then shot herself.
And you've got those automatic closing curtains all the time.
Well, they took the curtains down. And then we find out that their son, Victor, has been seeing that little girl.
Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah. It's really well done. I personally am not as much of a movie buff as you guys are, so it caught me off guard. Because I was really sheltered. I wasn't allowed to watch stuff like this growing up.
I think it's a great movie. And like I said, I think all the clues that it peppers right throughout the movie is great. And I don't think most people would put them all together. But, if you go back and watch it a second time, you see them all.
Yeah.
They stand out, very obviously because they're leading you to that obvious conclusion.
So then we have a conversation between Grace and the children, which I think is quite beautiful, where she explains to them that she didn't really know what she was doing with the pillow in her hands. And when she realized what had happened, she went to the bedroom, pulled out the gun and pulled the trigger, put it to her forehead and pulled the trigger. And then right afterwards, she heard them laughing, playing with the pillows like nothing happened immediately afterwards. And this is when Mrs. Mills comes up to her and says, you know, you won't always know they're here. Sometimes we'll notice them and sometimes we won't, but it's just the way it is. And the movie fades out on all of them, the three of them, saying that this is our house, and you hear it echoing through the house. And I like to think the living people can hear it.
Yeah. I have goosebumps thinking about that last scene.
So what would it be like being stuck as an 11-year-old ghost for all of eternity?
Well, just think
at
of...
what point would that be hell?
Well, just think of Interview with the Vampire, and you'll understand.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah. No, really. That would. I mean, she wasn't a ghost in that film. She was a vampire who was wise beyond her years and didn't have the body to do the thing she wanted to do, which would be maddening. Yeah, so yeah, it would be kind of like that, I think.
It's hell because there's no way to die.
Yeah, you can't die.
There's a vampire movie, I think from the 90s, which also has the trope of the little boy who's a couple of 100 years old because he's a vampire.
Well, there's Let the Right One In, or it's
remake,
or it's remake Let Me In. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what one you're talking about from the 90s. Near Dark, maybe.
Yes, Near Dark.
Okay, yeah, see, yeah, with Lance Henriksen and
and the tinfoil on the windows and the car.
That's right. That's
a great movie.
It is.
It's a good vampire movie, good solid vampire movie.
Yeah, Bill Paxton is in it too, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're on the same page.
So I told you I can't remember the names of things when.
It's okay.
Final thoughts.
On the others, well, I think you already know mine. I truly believe that this is maybe not objectively so, but in my opinion, the best Hollywood big budget horror film of the last 50 years. I'm not even joking. That's what I feel. I mean, it is such a big budget film, and it's filmed mostly on sets, and it's a big Hollywood production, and it's just amazing. It really is amazing. And I ignored it for damn near 20 years.
You're shaming yourself for the fact that you ignored it.
Yeah, I ignored it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate on it. I just thought, Nicole Kidman and the others, okay, Ghost Story, whatever, right? And I finally watched it with Anon like a few years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago now, and I was like, holy fuck, I should have watched this when it first came out because it's incredible.
You could have seen it in the theater. And
I could have. That's what I feel about the film anyway. I do think it's amazing. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's the best big Hollywood movie in the last 50 years.
Hollywood horror production.
Hollywood horror, yeah. I would have to have a long, hard think about that before
sure
trying to decide. And how do you define big budget Hollywood horror?
Huge, massive budget. Like I'm talking, this is well over $60 million in budget, though, which is a huge budget. Mostly on sets. Most of that
for The Thing, for example.
For The Thing, $22 million. That's an independent movie. That's not a Hollywood movie either. That's an independent movie, right? It was mostly publicly funded. Not publicly. It was privately funded, and $22 million is a huge budget, or was at the time. But it's not a Hollywood film.
Okay, I would have to have a think about.
It's a completely independently funded film. What I mean by a Hollywood film is producer funded by a big conglomerate corporation with profit on their minds. That's what I mean by a Hollywood film. This film was made purely for profit. It was made with profit on their minds, and the filmmakers wanted to make what they wanted to make, and this is a rare occasion where the filmmakers were allowed to do what they wanted to do. I think. I wasn't there. I didn't make the movie, but that's what it feels like to me. This feels like an art film with a big budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I agree. It's a great movie. And like I said, I don't think most people will see the twist coming, and I think that will be a big shock for them at the end, which is, always great when you're caught off guard by something like that.
Yeah.
Which I rarely am these days, unfortunately, because I think I've just seen too many movies. But I always love it
it's hard not to be jaded, isn't it? Yeah.
That's why I picked My Mother. I knew it would be an experience for you.
For me or for Bane?
Yeah, for Bane.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd seen it before.
Yeah.
The Eyes of My Mother.
Oh, sorry. Eyes of
that,
My Mother.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant
That's
the other. Eyes of My Mother. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I knew that would be an experience. It was an experience,
traumatizing experience, but also enjoyable at the same time. Strangely,
so much fun.
I've never enjoyed being traumatized so much.
Yeah. Okay.
If you enjoy having nightmares, this is the movie for you.
It's so good, though. It's so good. All right. So, in conclusion, would we all recommend both of these movies?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I would.
I think Rosalind Leigh, The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Leigh, is the leaner and meaner film of the two.
Yeah.
Still very heady. I think it is something that I think, at the risk of sounding pretentious, most Bane said it first. Most mainstream audiences might find it a little boring.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It is what it is. I don't think it's a movie made for everybody.
No.
Well, I think it's unfortunate if it would be unfortunate if every movie was made for the masses.
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad they aren't. That's a good thing. But that being said, I'm not so much of a snob where I don't enjoy movies made for the masses. Of course I do.
Oh, I enjoy many movies which are made for the masses, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with what would you call it?
Big budget mainstream fun movies.
No, the opposite to that.
The opposite of that.
Well, small budget, not so much pretentious, more intimate movies. That might be a good word to describe that. Intimate with the filmmakers and the actors, and where we really kind of get to know the film itself and not just the spectacle. So, and I think the others, being as big budget
more of a niche
as it is,
market.
Yeah, I think the others, it feels like a niche market film, but it's not. It's a big budget film, and it made millions and millions at the box office too. Everybody went to see this damn movie in 2001, except me, apparently. And I'm glad. And I discount major actors and actresses' performances all the time, and sometimes I feel bad for doing so, because Nicole Kidman's performance in the others is incredible.
Oh,
it's amazing. Like she's a really, it just solidifies my opinion that she has the potential to be a really, really good actress.
So you get to see her nipples too. So I'm sorry. I'm not really.
No, you're not. What you mean is in your voice, I got to see her nipples.
Yeah, watch this.
Yeah, there's that laugh right there. Nipples.
Shut up.
That's why it made so much money in the box office.
That's right. Nicole Kidman's nipples. That's probably half truth.
That was the original title. So
yeah. Nicole Kidman's nipples. That's right.
Nicole Kidman,
otherwise known as the Innocents.
Star in
That's how I found it on PornTube. So yeah.
The Innocents?
No, Nicole Kidman's nipples. So,
there you go.
All right, everybody. So I think we may actually see you in 2 weeks this time.
Yeah.
Well, just before we finish, do we want to have a quick chat about what's been happening since we haven't had a chat in a while. There's been a lot of news in movies and TV.
There has.
Trying to get rid of us. We're only been going 2.5 hours. That's nothing.
No. It's okay. You go first. Because I don't know. I have no idea what the fuck you want to talk about right now. So, okay.
Oh, just there's lots of movies come out, and
yeah,
Avengers Endgame, which I thought was pretty good.
I have not seen it. Again, I find most of the Marvel movies to be insufferable. That's not to say I won't see it, and I do enjoy a lot of them, but I have not seen it yet.
And the new Spider-Man's pretty good too. The
Far From Home.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I heard that. There's one thing. If we could actually take a 2-minute break here, like not go offline. There is. Pardon me. Have you heard? Speaking of movie news, again, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting your train of thought here.
No, that's all right.
There is a new Swedish horror film that I might want to just post the trailer for.
I just got an image of the Swedish chef. Sorry.
It's called Aniara.
Okay.
Okay. And it's a new Swedish film. I'm not sure if it's actually out yet. Like available to watch anywhere. But the trailer looks absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna post the link here. You don't have to watch it now, but I'm just gonna post it so I don't forget. And that's kind of my contribution to not trying to be lazy here. It's just
there's a lot of TV shows coming up which sound amazing. First of all, we've got The Mandalorian coming out.
That's
in
true.
A couple of months.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
There's a Lord of the Rings TV show
from Amazon. Yeah, I guess Amazon's producing that.
Hellraiser TV show and Nightbreed TV show.
Okay, so I didn't know about those two. That's interesting. Okay.
The Judge Dredd one has been pushed back, but there was
is that one actually going to have Keith Urban in it still? Because he
I'm not sure. I think they've gone back to the drawing board and scrapped what they were previously doing.
Well, I hope Keith Urban does it, because Keith Urban was the best Judge Dredd on film by far.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And speaking of Keith Urban, he was great in The Boys. I don't know if you've watched The Boys.
I've seen The Boys, yeah.
Was that a great series or what?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other TV shows which are coming. There's like a ton of Dark Crystal.
Yeah, that one I'm excited for. I think Miss Anon saw a trailer for that too. All the puppets and everything. It just looks amazing.
So it sounds like the next couple of years are going to be really good as far as TV goes.
I hope so. I certainly
hope
so.
There's a lot of competition with the big streaming networks. Although I suspect the bubble's going to pop in the next couple of years.
It might, but because of the competition, it might not. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they can all keep up the high standard.
You're right. But what I mean is the bubble is filling up at the same rate as opposed to in one place. If that makes sense. It's not stretching just because of Netflix. It's not going to just pop because of one, little part
but the problem is if there's like 6 different networks all doing it at the same time, that means people have to buy 6 different subscriptions, which they're less likely to do than
I guess that's kind of why like Ash versus Evil Dead failed, I guess, because you had to buy a Starz subscription here in Canada. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world. But that was an amazing TV series too, but most people don't even know about Ash versus Evil Dead, and they begged for that for years. So
I think when Disney starts up and a couple of others, the bubble will probably pop, unfortunately.
It might. Miss Anon, are you looking forward to Dark Crystal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's going to be good. That's the one I think both of us are most looking forward to. Hellraiser and Nightbreed. Nightbreed especially, that interests me. I didn't know about those two at all.
Yeah. Apparently they've got the green light and they're going ahead. I don't know when
cool.
They'll be out. But
do you know who's producing them? Is it Netflix, Amazon, Shudder?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Because if it's Amazon or Shudder, then it has the potential to be pretty good. If it's Netflix, it could be either way.
Mm. And of course, there was the Sony deal with Spider-Man. That's blown up.
The debacle. I heard about that this morning. Yeah, it's like a 70-30 split or something like that. That's what I last heard. It was sold actually to Disney, but only 30% of it. So Sony owns 70% of it, and Disney owns 30%. A couple of days ago,
it came out that Spider-Man's reverting back to Sony, which means no more Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah,
but apparently that was all just a publicity stunt.
It probably was a publicity stunt.
Yeah. Oh, Event Horizon TV series as well.
That's good. Oh, I got to go back to Spider-Man. I personally would love to see Sam Raimi's unmade Spider-Man 4, which he wanted to make back in 2010. That would be cool. So that would be nice to see if Spider-Man actually stayed in Sony's court, but that'll probably never happen.
Didn't Disney?
No, they rebooted it. So
yeah.
Didn't Disney just buy Spider-Man from?
No.
No.
This morning it's 30% Disney, 70% Sony. So the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4 might still happen, but probably not. I hate personally. I really dislike. I shouldn't say hate, but I strongly dislike Disney's MCU. I find them insufferable for the most part. So. Yeah, that's just me. I find that they're all the same. Every movie is exactly the same. It's just the same damn movie over and over again.
Well, yeah, they're definitely making a lot of money, and they're definitely shaping the movie industry at the moment.
Well, that's a bubble that's going to burst. Is the superhero movie?
I think it might.
It's a bubble. It's a bubble. It's a bubble that should have burst 10 years ago. But it just hasn't for some strange reason. So
Avengers Endgame really felt like the end of the last 10 years, wrapped up. And now they're going into a new phase, and I don't know if it will be successful or not, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, I mean, successful in my mind isn't just monetarily successful. So
no, that's true. That's true.
Just because a movie makes a lot of money doesn't mean it's any good.
Well,
people have to stop giving them money if they want them to stop making them.
That's true. That's what has to stop. Yeah. Just like the start of this episode, Pearl Harbor made shit ton of money. Terrible movie.
I will admit that I actually enjoy that movie.
Hey, all of Michael Bay's movies are good if you like mindless, dumb fun, but he takes himself so seriously that, it's hard to do that.
It's art.
Well, I guess he thinks less that way. I mean, it's not that he's directed. All of his movies are not bad. I mean, Bad Boys is actually good. Even Bad Boys 2. It's a fantastic action movie. The Rock from 1995 with Sean Connery and freaking Nick Cage. That's an awesome movie.
Isn't it when he has source material to work with that he fucks it up really bad?
That's just it. When he has source material to work with, he's just about the worst filmmaker who ever lived.
Does Pearl Harbor count as source material?
Yes, it certainly does.
I guess it's history, but it's not really. Come on, it's the most go America go movie.
Well, it
ever.
is. All the aircraft in that movie weren't even invented when that movie takes place, and he's calling it historically accurate.
Tora, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man, I haven't seen Tora in a long time. I should watch that in hate memory of Pearl Harbor. Anyway. No, I'm just not really interested in the MCU, but Sony Spider-Man, I would certainly like to see Sam Raimi finish that series off, because apparently he's still interested. So
yeah, I can't see that happening though with the
no, I don't think it'll happen
of the new Spider-Man.
No, I can't see it happening either. It's just something I wish would. But yeah, what's going on with that Hellraiser series? What would they even do with that? That's strange.
Don't know. I'm not
probably
sure.
just probably just a 10-part series, I guess, right?
The Event Horizon too. That's an interesting one to make.
That is really interesting. That movie is way better than the sum of its parts. It should.
I love it.
Yeah.
Although the special effects haven't aged very well.
No, they haven't aged very well in 1997 when it was made, let alone
3D
now.
computer stuff, the floating stuff when it's zero gravity.
Everything seems weightless. It looks like Reboot from 1994, like the TV series. I love Reboot, but holy shit, does it ever look bad? So
the movie itself is great.
It is.
Reboot is terrible.
I love Reboot. It looks terrible.
It's terrible with its polygony. Terrorized. It's horrifying looking,
like Event Horizon, basically. That would be interesting though, with that Lovecraftian overtone. I think that would be really cool to see in a series. It would be interesting to see who they got to direct it, or if it was a different director for each episode, or what.
Well, I wonder if they're going to do like a prequel where we see what happened to the Event Horizon, or whether it's going to be like a TV series long version of the movie.
Or, well, yeah, that's just it. In my opinion, it would most likely be a retelling of the movie. So maybe the first 2 episodes, like the pilot and the first episode, would be a retelling of what actually happened to the Event Horizon and just kind of condensed form, and then the next, I say 8 episodes because most of those series are 10 episodes a season, would be kind of like a retelling of the film. If Sam Neill isn't in it in some form, I'd be very upset. I'm sure he wouldn't be, but
yeah, so it should be interesting TV.
Yeah.
Lots of series to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Any movies we're looking forward to?
Well,
coming out.
Sorry?
Star Wars coming out in December.
We said we wouldn't do this.
I know.
Don't do this.
Nobody else is.
I'm looking forward to Aniara, that movie I posted in the side chat here.
Oh, that's good.
And that's not all I'm looking forward to, but that's really all that. Midsummer by the same director as Hereditary.
I haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't seen it yet either. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty quiet on my end here. Like
I think the movie I've seen in the last 5 months since I've spoken to you guys, which I really, really enjoyed, was Climax by Gaspar Noé. I don't want to go into it.
Picks now.
Hey? What?
I'm not talking about your porno pics now.
No, there is actually another movie by the same director, which I watched out of curiosity after watching Climax, which is basically a porno.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's called Love.
Yeah.
From memory.
I don't know. I've actually seen Climax. I watched that just last week.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have. I've seen it. Miss Anon she went to bed early, and I just wanted to watch a movie, so I watched that.
Without spoiling it.
I want to probably talk about it in a future episode. I've actually changed things around. So.
Oh, I was going to pick that for my next pick.
Go ahead. You do it then. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. No. Yeah. Please do.
I love Gaspar Noé. I think he's an amazing director.
Yeah, I saw it, and I immediately was like, holy shit, I need to talk about this movie. So that's fine. Please do. It is. Yeah.
Shot the whole thing in 3 weeks, which is great.
Okay, so that's cool. I'm looking forward to talking about that with you.
That'll be cool. Before that, we've got the contest of shit.
So what's the next episode then? We're still doing the next one, right?
We're still doing the next one, which is the Don Bluth. Yeah,
that'll be fun for me to talk about and missing on. I don't know. Are you much of a fan of Don Bluth?
I'm not overly familiar, so I will have to get familiar in the next 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, it's actually a pretty fun journey, kind of. Like he's an ex Disney animator, and he basically said "fuck you" to Disney and kind of moved on and created his own production company.
Not depressing arts movies like we normally pick.
No, not
Antichrist Part 2.
No. But he makes some pretty heady animated children's films. Like he's
The Rats of Nim is pretty
The Secret of Nim, yeah.
Nim, sorry, yeah, that's The Secret of Nim is pretty heady. And I mean, you picked Titan AE, which is
it's a good film. That's a good science fiction film. You probably just picked that, and like you were saying before that was really the only one you knew of his, Bane, but.
But I mean, that's the good thing about this show is being exposed to new things and different things. So, yeah,
for sure.
Like,
I don't even remember what one I picked. I think I picked Anastasia. I think that's what it was.
That's the one you've got. Yeah, and Anastasia is another one. It's pretty. It gets fun. It's a cartoon meant for kids, but
yeah, it's a children's cartoon, but it's so well done. And he, like Don Bluth, wrote and directed and partially animated my favorite film of all time, which is The Land Before Time. So that is actually my favorite film. That's always at the top of my list, no matter what. And a lot of that has to do with childhood nostalgia. But it's a good film. It's a children's film, but it's so well made. So I think it'll be really interesting to talk about him and his films for a couple hours.
He's done like a lot of movies that are super accessible to really young kids, like like Pebble and the Penguin,
or The Land Before Time, or
the Troll in Central Park.
Yeah. Anastasia, which is a little bit higher up. Titan AE, like Titan AE is a fine science fiction film. Titan AE could have been a short in heavy metal, and it would have been right at home.
Who did The Box Troll?
The Box Trolls. I don't know. That's a recent film. I actually don't.
Yeah, I watched that since
that was fun,
guys. That was a good movie.
I've seen that. Miss Anon and I didn't watch that together. I think I'm the only one that's seen it out of the two of us. But,
yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
I don't know the. I don't even know these people. Graham Annabelle and Anthony Stachy. Yeah, I don't even know who those people are. But that was a fun film.
Are you familiar with Berserk?
Yeah. The anime or manga? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was chatting to Anon about that the other day.
Yes, I have to watch it.
I love Berserk. I love the manga. I love the anime. I'm more familiar with the manga than the anime, but Berserk is fucking amazing. Yeah.
Oh, and just a suggestion. We should probably cover Akira sometime this year, before the end of the year. Akira the movie.
Yeah,
not Akira Kurosawa. And the reason why I want to cover it this year is because it's set in 2019. So,
yes, I love Akira. What a great adaptation, hey? Like,
yeah, it is. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So, but considering it's set this year, I thought it would be good to review it this year.
It would be. Would you like to review it in English or Japanese? Either is fine with me. I just want to know what. It makes a difference. So
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't remember what copy I've got.
You're gonna have to pick it for one of your picks.
Well, just let me know. I mean, they're both good, but they are different. There's different. Like the translation is a little bit wonky, and you'll get a different feel from whether it's the sub or the dub. So, but each are equally good. So, but yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun to cover. I could talk about that movie with you for a couple hours for sure.
And another suggestion I was going to make is for one of our specials, should we do some shorts? Just a whole heap of shorts.
That'd be fun.
Like short films?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That would be awesome. I would love that.
So instead of, say, picking an hour and a half movie each, we get an hour and a half to fill with shorts.
Oh, that sounds like fun. TV episodes, I guess, could be put in there too if they're 22-minute episodes, yeah?
Yeah, I guess especially if they're like a
I think
anthology type thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it's an anthology series, because there's one episode of a certain TV series.
Yes, you've been talking about it, and asking
Yeah.
me, "Can I do it? Can I do it?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Go for it."
So that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Maybe we can do that instead of rewrite movies.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's do that instead. I think that would be more interesting for people to listen to as well. I think it actually, that has the potential to open up a lot of things that people have never seen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's the idea of the specials, I guess, is to focus on different things, different themes.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I like that theme a lot.
We've got an Akira Kurosawa one coming up before then, I think. So
yes, we do. That'll be great.
So we've got some work to do on our list of upcoming.
A little bit of some changes to make. Yeah.
Yep. So should we finish? Is that it?
I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight.
Are you done?
We've just been rambling on for the last 15 minutes. So.
Yeah, I think there were some other movies I want to mention, but I can't think of them because I'm, lacking sleep. So
me neither.
Sleep deprived.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, alrighty then. We should see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
I don't break anything this time, or the apocalypse happens.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nicole,
bye.